everybody, and welcome. We're D&D Boyband, a group of friends all like to be D&D pretty boys, because apparently it's not fantasy unless everybody's hot, especially the NPCs. And the artwork, as you can see. This is an original D&D campaign set in the critical role world of Exandria, taking place 10 years after the events of CR1. The group are very far away from the original destination of Imon, having travelled to Wildmount and Rosona, up through Barbfields to the Arbor Exemplar, and now teleported deep beneath the grounds into Gordranis. Tensions are growing pretty much everywhere, and the group have now made some decisions that will affect most of the world, although the ramifications of those decisions may not be entirely obvious at this point. First of all, I'm Dungeon Master Jamie, and joining me tonight are the Spice Boys. We are down Sai today, who is taking a short break, so Sai, wish you the best. First of all, we have Clued as Barnes, Eski as Zug, Luke as Ascor, Lauren as Roman, and Erin as Hayden. Before we begin, I believe we have a new announcement.
Da 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 da! We finally hit our goal of 300 followers. Yay!
Hey!
Yay! Also, as you can see, Zug finally has some updated artwork that showcases his new Geb armor, which I've been collaborating on with Clued over the past week. We're almost done the artwork, so hopefully we'll reveal the full thing next week. But because I was busy working on that, I forgot to put together the artwork to be like, we're doing an art giveaway. So anyway, we are going to be doing an art giveaway in the next within the next week. We will have full details and the ability for you to share it and take part and hopefully win some artwork yourself next week. So thank you very much, everyone, for your love and support. I think that's it for announcements.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Thank you very much. Cool. To remind everybody, and particularly Eski, what happened last week.
I have a really bad memory.
What's that mad shade?
He asked beforehand. It's not my fault.
I did ask.
Last week, you guys were in the midst of a battle with your former ally, friend, compatriot Ghost. At which point, he banished all of you, asking Aku to surrender Lanharath to him. It seemed to those of you who were still in the room that that was what Aku was about to do. However, re-tearing the kind of wound in the neck, causing Aku to be unable to speak, and then controlling Aku, Lanharath seems to have stepped in. You guys were allowed to flee from Ghost on the promise from Lanharath to Ghost that he would allow Aku to make the decision once more. You took the teleportation circle, which Barnes had been doodling in the corner whilst this conversation had been going on, taking 10 rounds to do so while you were banished. At which point you found yourself in a deep underground caved-in building. You've had a bit of a small explore where you found a couple of notes on the floor that Barnes recognized as his own, kind of a large cliff face kind of drifting off, open into a cavern. You've had a chat with Aku, who is now controlled by Lanharath, and you were settling down for a long rest where you were all also going to level. You'd kind of settled to this point as being fairly safe, you think. D&D Boyband, you are sitting around whatever kind of attempt at a camp you've made. Obviously, a lot of your supplies have been left outside. You are a bit battered and bruised. One of you died during the encounter, so Roman's probably not feeling too great. The rest of you realized you were up against a foe that was a bit beyond you, perhaps in terms of strength or even understanding. A lot of what you did had no effect, and you have resolved that you either need help or to be stronger or some other form of assistance. You also removed the body of Vespin Chloras in its entirety from the tree, which has possibly had some effect some of you may be more aware of than others. So, D&D Boyband, you're sitting around the fire, if you've made one, or sitting quietly in the dark in what was once Barnes's house, deep in the ancient city of Gordranis.
This is after a long rest, DM.
No, we're going to say before a long rest, because I think people wanted to roleplay stuff, but once you sleep, you'll obviously complete a long rest.
So I think if we are back in Barnes's basement as the safest place to be, he would set up a tiny hut for the folk to sleep in. so it will be nice and kind of colour melded into the grey of the basement.
Okay.
And he'll have busied himself doing that for him.
Kind of spending a bit more time in this as you're kind of setting it up. You kind of kick aside occasional like broken bottles or what you imagine once might have been wine or something kept down here. It's very dark down here. Those of you without dark vision, obviously you can put lights and stuff, but if there are no lights, it is completely black. So Barnes constructs the Lehman's tiny hut. You all kind of settle in, get down. Is everybody inside? Anyone sleeping outside?
Hanging about, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh.
I'll leave you to it.
I'm thinking I might go for a walk around to see if anything else left of my home is, recognizable in its current state. I mean, it seems safe enough. Does that sound crazy to anyone? I just sort of, it's my house, and I've sort of not been here for 1,000 years, and it's a little odd.
I mean, why not? Although, quick question. Would you happen to have any sort of running water or a bath?
Sure, I probably
think I've
have quite
watched
a
it
nice
3
bathhouse on the
months.
top. Maybe if you come up with me, it'll still be heated. Should have quite nice lighting in there as well. I was pretty particular about that sort of thing. So, yeah, sure, Zug. Let's go look for a bathtub.
Huh, fantastic.
Great. No, stay here.
And what about those notable magic items as well? I just don't think we should leave without having left no stone unturned.
Right, sure. There's probably all sorts of things. I had a lot to my name, I suppose.
Though I would be
would
careful
hope.
about turning stones from the Age of Arcanum. You never know which one is going to turn over and bite you.
Right, I probably had a pet rock or two.
Pet rocks used to bite you? Were they
Of
alive?
course.
Oh, strange world that you lived in.
Isn't it fairly trivial magic to animate rocks for entertainment purposes?
You're talking to me about magic. I wouldn't know.
Oh, I forget who I'm talking to. All right, well, I'm going for a wee look around. Come with if you like, or I'll just do a bit of a snoop, but he's going to vanish from view as he casts invisibility. I'm going to do it quietly.
Never you mind, Zug. If you like, I could teach you some magic. Magic is truly available to everybody should they apply themselves for long enough.
I still can't get over the idea that you got on born with it. Everything I knew was a lie.
Absolute nonsense.
Hayden's kind of looking in disbelief at Barnes, and he's like, "He just told us to follow him, and now he's invisible. How can we follow him if he's done that?"
You hear him say, well, no, I said I was going myself and quietly, and I asked you if it was a crazy idea. And then I told Zog to stay here because I obviously don't have a bath in working order.
Oh, you were... I didn't understand that. Went over my head. I thought you were
See
being
you
serious.
later, happy campers. You probably
Sarcasm.
hear quiet footsteps as he
Just gonna- See you,
pops
Barnes.
After Barnes leaves, Hayden kind of says to the group, "I was wondering why he genuinely thought there'd still be hot running water in this place when it's been abandoned for 1,000 years."
I don't know, it's magic. Maybe
I
it's like
mean-
magic water.
It's true, Age of Arcanum kind of worked a
He's
little
not
differently.
going for water. He knows something we don't.
Do you think
Well,
so?
if you want to follow any of us, all you'd have to do is follow the stench that we leave behind at this point.
Or perhaps,
I don't
and
think-
Roman will point to the floor, which I assume is probably covered in dust, or the footprints, perhaps.
Ah! Or that. Or both! Either way. Not gonna go very far without anyone knowing.
Hayden kind of surreptitiously does
Like,
the
you'd have
group
to get away
smell
from
that
us
bad?
first.
He's like, "It's fine."
I mean, like, we must be... like, how often we've been in combat? So it's like blood, sweat. Like... I mean, I'm assuming that's it, but, you know... not gonna smell good. It's gonna smell
No.
pretty bad, right?
I mean, that's what prestidigitation is for.
Right.
I mean, maybe Ascor then. It smells still quite nice.
Yeah, Bond
I
smells
imagine.
pretty good. He smells of
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't know, he's like a floral sort of scent kind of
unless
guy.
anyone has helped Zug, I imagine he smells pretty bad at this point.
He was probably helped against his knowledge.
The entire time you've been following around, just casting prestidigitation at his
Yeah.
armpits.
Hey,
So
Zug,
just
look
thinks
over
he's a
there,
really
just
clean
touching his
guy.
arm. Yeah.
Whenever he's sleeping.
Oh, it's just my natural musk.
Zug lives by the crunchy method.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
Crunchy. Oh no.
Anyway, yeah, DM, I want to do a little bit of recon. You said there were some other doors to go down, so he's got greater invis on.
Yep.
So he's just gonna poke around, see what he can find, look for any knickknacks, information, or anything that's still in good order.
You're not using detect magic or anything, are you?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah. Could you make an investigation check? Oh,
I was
sorry.
going to say was that I was going to connect the psychic before Barnes walked off, and just said, "If you run into any trouble, you know who to call."
I do. And Ascor, I'm not sure it's you, but I thank you for your reaching out. And,
You just hit static at the other end.
okay,
Please
so that
hold.
was 20 total.
20 total. Okay. Walking around, you kind of obviously a lot of this ruin has been here for, by your reckoning, 1,000 years or more, and a lot of it's kind of collapsed in stone or rotted away. And as you're kind of digging up that room before, which you remember spending long hours sitting in here listening to people whose problems you didn't really give a shit about, you kind of move off from that room into a long, what you think might once have been a hallway, and something is something is like twitching in the back of your mind. You kind of follow what couple of steps that seem to be made out of stone ever so slightly, but you remember that the rocks here presumably have crashed like that because these were once step, and it kind of will go up to the upper level of your house, which presumably was more yours than the bottom thing, which was more for guests, entertainment, and visitors. On the second floor, again, there's kind of this combination of rock and what once have been, and your memory as you kind of walk around this. It's that imperceptible feeling that you've been here before and you should know it, but obviously it's incredibly different. But the small reminders, and you do turn into a room where about in the center with a large rock, and you can see other rocks around it that have kind of been pushed away from it ever so slightly, and despite this incredibly large rock on top of it, there is a large metal tub that we think might once would have been a bath.
Oh.
And as you kind of go up to it and run your hands along it, it is still warm to the touch now after all this time, and you probably, you reason it might be magical in some way.
Please, don't fucking believe it. I'm a genius. Permanently warm bathtub. I would, wouldn't I?
There is currently a rock in the way of the bathtub.
He probably looks at it thinking that's not such an issue for Zug. Should he choose to share?
Indication.
Okay. Continue the observational adventures.
I'm gonna message you because you'll remember actually upon touching it what it does.
Oh.
Is it the plug for the bath?
The big rock.
Is it an exfoliation stone?
A pumice stone.
Yes.
Yep, it makes your skin real nice and soft. That's the magical properties.
Is
there.
it solid shampoo from Lush?
Okay.
It has inbuilt shampoo. Yeah. Shampoo
With the
dispensers.
20 as well. While you're walking through, you kick. Yeah, there are like various kind of bits of shards of glass again, or iron or wood kind of on the floor. And as you kind of kick, you scatter a bunch of coins that presumably were in a box that you didn't see was there. But as you kick it over, the one kind of falls out. And I'd say there's probably about 20 to 30 pieces of gold that are pretty hefty. But there's a one coin that as you kind of pick it up, it hums ever so slightly. And you just look at it and you just don't really know what, but it's something different about it compared to the others.
Okey-dokey. Any recollection of what it may be?
You kind of think this is my lucky coin, but you don't remember why particularly, or the effect it has.
Oh, He looks at it, frowns, and pockets it.
Yeah.
Well,
Alongside, kind of
eyes.
with a bunch of shattered glass and the thing, you kind of find what you perhaps remember to be your medicine cabinet with a bunch of vials, like smaller vials, and like obviously ornate ones just kind of shattered on the floor. Most of the contents kind of poured away and lost to the world. You're still in the bathroom as it is now. You aren't sure if you had any magical items in there, and with that roll, you kind of shifting through it, you can't tell what's kind of, broken glass or old magical liquid that's kind of stained the floor or something else. So I'd say that's kind of, as you've gone upstairs, that's the first room you've gone into and kind of had a look around. This room kind of has a large window facing outwards that obviously the curtains or whatever you used to drape is long put away. Could you make a perception check as you look out the window?
Oh, yeah. I guess disadvantage because him no dark vision. Why do revenants not have dark vision? They're dead. Like, don't they?
Because they
see
dead.
bad stuff. Okay, that's not bad. 16.
16. Let me roll for it. So 16. Okay, as you're looking up in the dark, you see something. You can't make out the form. All you can make out is the movement, as it almost looks like one of the shadows flies across the top of the ceiling, from one side to the other. Like not where you are right now, but far off in the cavern, something has flown from one side to the other, and you are certainly not alone in this part. It's a large open expanse. The ruins, like kind of here, and the rocks of. As you've been walking around, you probably imagine that the cave is kind of formed above this, and occasionally rocks have fallen down as the city above is built, and like similar thing. But like, it's not just a small cave. This is a large expanse, and something has flown.
How
other
large
side.
did it seem?
You would probably think it's smaller. The 16, it looked smaller than Deseret, but bigger than kind of a human.
Okay. Well, I guess he feels reasonably safe with greater invis on, so I'll continue poking around up the second floor, look for like any more sort of personal effects. Particularly, I guess he's looking for clues, because I suppose he doesn't know at what point he left his house, why, what state it was in when he last was here. He doesn't remember it being destroyed, right? So
yeah, absolutely. So moving onwards, I'll say that was roll for the first room. If you want to make it for the next one, investigation.
Okie dokie. 13.
13. It's a little hard to tell with the amount of rubble and stuff put down. A lot of the books, or what once would have been books, you pick up, kind of the leather, whatever bound them is there, but the pages just fall out into dust immediately. There's a room that might once have contained a bed. You aren't particularly sure as you kind of walk past. You do find a ring, or several rings, which have a symbol on them, which I'll find for you.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just send it to you, but I think you probably know. And as you kind of reach down and touch them, why is my keyboard not doing it? As you reach down and touch them, there's like flashes of red in your mind and fire, and you pull back ever so slightly, and you go and pick it up, and you can kind of taste salt and something in the back of your throat. It's not unpleasant, and you're reminded of those whatever pulls you into something back in the barb fields and told you to sort yourself out. It's just insulting. You're perfectly well sorted out, thank you.
I'm not sure he believes that.
And you kind of look down at those rings. There are also large gouge marks and burns in the stone floor, which to you look like they could have been caused by many things. You saw potions destroyed in the other room, but they do look like magic was cast here.
Probably fire firebrains, scary flashes of red. And knowing that without the ability to see in the dark, it's probably a go back downstairs and hope Roman will take him around with the detect magic in the morning situation. So yeah, he'll pop back downstairs.
So you reason you found your bathroom and what might once have been a bedroom, maybe not yours, but a bedroom in your house.
Yeah, okay. Cool. All right, he'll pop back down then.
All right. The rest of you, what have you been up to? Talking about or doing?
You know, it's
Nothing
been quite
about-
some time we've taken a look at that box of yours, Hayden. I feel we were very close last time to unlocking its secrets.
Yeah.
Fucking over that bastard. Sorry, yes, unlocking it.
Yeah. That would be great to get done.
I think you've done 4
Especially-
sides, hadn't you? Or 4 successful checks? Or was it 5?
More than that, hopefully.
It was definitely more than 4.
Also, Jamie, I'm scared to ask because I've not been keeping my notes up to date.
You've had 2 days since your last check-in, so I think it's 17?
We've got 17 days left to live.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Hayden had 1 on his own, and then it took you 7 days to get through the bar fields, and I actually think you did most of them. I think you might be sick. I think you might...
Yeah, because I think...
Find my notes. 7.
Yeah, because I remember being like thinking, "Oh, we've done it," because I thought it was a 6-sided box, but it turns out it's a
9-sided
box.
9-sided box. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think we've maybe only got 3 or 2.
I've got I've gone back through my notes. I think I have 7. So
Okay.
it might be you're on the 7th. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
so
our
we go
last
to
one,
7, 8,
like
9.
it did stuff, but it didn't progress it. Like
Yeah.
it did
Yeah.
something productive, but not.
Okay. I'm gonna put it in the campaign notes. Hayden has 17 days left to live before long rest at Barnes's house. And Nonagon box has 6 out of 9 sides opened. We're starting on the 7th. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about getting through the rest of this.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Should we? How are you feeling? Have you got? Do you want to do it tonight?
Physically dreadful, mentally ready to fuck over Essek.
That's
I-
good as anything.
I need a win. I need a win.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's do this. And so Hayden's gonna kind of sit down next to Roman and pull out the 9-sided box with all of its various glowing sides and kind of moved levers, kind of signals of their progress so far. And he's gonna kind of turn it over in his hands a couple times, like inspecting like a particularly complex Rubik's Cube puzzle, and then he's gonna be like, okay. He hands it over to Roman. Right, should we start on this side? And he points to wherever it looks like they had the most amount of progress last time.
Just a quick note: when Barnes walked outside the Luminous tiny hut, you're now all out in the open.
Oh, does this...
Yeah, the minute you leave.
Oh,
I feel
We'll
like
just say
Long time to ask that.
oh, that's a shame.
I feel like
That's
Barnes
fine.
would know how the spell works, so he probably wouldn't have cast it before he was planning on
Yeah.
leaving the
Well,
room.
he has enough spell slots, so probably you would have had a, oh, oops, guess I'll redo it later. Sorry, I'm a bit rusty, 1,000 years and all that.
right. Anyway, yes, Hayden and Roman.
Clued is much more generous with her spell slots than the rest of us are.
So it's an Arcana with advantage or intelligence with advantage? I can't remember.
Intelligence with advantage, you get advantage because Hayden is helping you, and I think previously you casted guidance and inspiration, but if you're doing it without Barnes being there, you don't get inspiration.
That's fair. Okay.
Could we be chatting about the box amicably until Barnes returns to the room?
Well, you can indeed, if you wish. In which case, Zug, Lanharath, and Ascor, are you doing anything or talking to anybody before Barnes returns?
Aiden's kind of
Score's
given...
complained about the quality of the food.
I mean, it's probably just sharpening his axe, to be honest. If he's got nothing else to do, that's what he tends to do.
In fact, one thing to note is that every time we all sit down to eat, Ascor has pretty much just spoken about a really fine restaurant he remembers.
Okay. You got a name for it? Do you want me to come up with
This
a name
particular
for it?
restaurant,
Yeah.
Delzars.
Delzars, right. I'm going to put that in my notes.
Thick.
Delzars.
Someone's keeping track.
Del Boy. Delzars. All right. Ascor's favorite eat. So,
No. He talks every time, Jamie, he speaks about a different restaurant. He may
right.
occasionally refer to the same one a few times.
Got it. Okay. Cool. I'll say that. Fair enough. Lanharath Aku, for those who do or do not know, has probably spent this entire time kind of sitting, eyes closed, legs crossed, seemingly meditating. Cool. As you return, I'll let you make this roll. If Barnes chooses to give you inspiration, Barnes gives you inspiration.
Yeah, take an inspiration. If he kind of comes back and you've got the box at, he'll pop out of invisibility, sit in his haunches, and say, "Oh, we're doing this again, are we?"
Yeah. You gave us quite a lot of good insight to this last time because I think it kind of has some similar mechanisms to stuff that you were used to. Do you want to help us take a look at it?
Yeah, this colorful puzzle box I used to do way back when I was bored in between sessions. Sure, he'll provide a inspiration as he helpfully discusses his Rubik's Cube affliction.
Cool. So with both Barnes and Hayden helping Roman.
Advantage.
What is inspiration?
Inspiration is D10 now?
D10,
Oh.
yeah.
D10.
Bebe, okay.
So DC is raised every time you've got this right.
Okay. So
You can do it.
and then D10. D8.
You've already got advantage, don't you?
Yeah.
D10. So that is a 22.
22. With the physical exhaustion of the day, with being in this place, with the anger you're feeling, both obviously being reunited with Ghost, despite your mind being sharp, despite Hayden's assistance, and despite Barnes egging you on, providing you reassurance, giving you insight into what was worked previously from his fractured memory, you're at a stage with the box where you seem to undo, like when you're trying to progress, you almost seem to undo previous parts, and you can get them back where you remember them, and that's fine. But progressing further will require more research at this point than that, more effort, as you guys probably spend most of the evening having a pretty good go at this.
Darn.
Roman's probably like doing it with like points from Hayden and Barnes. They probably get. Oh, Ria's so cute. Look at her.
Oh, she's scratching under her chin.
He's like kind of going with it, and I imagine Hayden's like, "Oh, well, have you tried doing?" And Barnes like, "Well, what if you just?" And he's like, "Will you just stop fucking crowding around me? I can't fucking do it. Just take it back. Not tonight."
All right,
He just
Grandpa.
gets up and he just walk. He's gonna get up and he's gonna walk into the next room and disappear.
Oh, by the way, Roman, there's a shadow in the cavern. Be careful. Oh, he's gone.
He's gone.
Oh.
A shadow? What do you mean a shadow?
Right, yeah, there's some flying creature in the shadows flapping about the cavern, but
Like a bat?
sure, like a really big bat, probably.
Really big? How big is the bat?
Smaller than Deseret. But she was pretty big, so...
Zerat was quite big, yes.
Deseret was huge.
Okay, so a really large bat. That's always...
Somewhat.
That's normal.
A somewhat large bat, that's what we'll go with.
Okay.
Roman can handle himself, he's an archmage.
Oh, true.
But we do have something rather big to talk about. And we have a lot of big things to talk about. And I notice we've sort of been whittling the evening away with boxes and bats. I have a bath upstairs, Zug. I actually do. It's still warm. It's great.
Really?
There's a rock in the way. You'll need to move it, but also aforementioned bat. Anyway, the whole thing we're going to do, what with the Wand of Orcus, the destruction of the corpse of Vespan Chloras, my last opportunity for finding out what happened to me. That's tomorrow morning, correct?
Yeah, we were gonna sleep on it and do it in the morning.
That's a
I
shame.
think we all need to sleep. But other than that, yes,
Yeah.
of course.
No, I think we probably shouldn't do that now either.
I'm to destroy the wand. Ha!
Right, I just
For a long
thought I'd
time.
re-raise the point, that once we destroy it, we don't know what will happen to Vaspin's soul or body, but chances are he's destroyed too, so... if you want me to feel rehabilitated in the world or understand what happened to me in any small measure, this might be your last chance to give me that sort of kindness.
I don't understand.
Just to establish, we're not in danger here, are we? That wasn't clear.
No, it's just a bat. I'm sure it's fine.
Very well then.
I love that Ascor's focuses on the bat rather than conversation we're about to have.
Amazing. Amazing.
Never change.
I mean,
Bonds is probably looking at Hayden with like big puppy eyes, occasionally blinking, pleading face.
Look,
No, just that one small little kindness so I can find out who I am, what happened to me, all of that. Trivial things, really, but...
Barnes, we've been traveling
Hayden.
together for... How long has it been? A week?
Solid week, yeah. Feel like I know y'all like the back of my hand.
And you've been nothing but kind to us since we've met you, and
yeah, you've been great.
I have been great, yes.
Yeah, and we have no reason not to trust you.
Of course.
And the reason why I've been reluctant to not give you the wand so far is not because I don't trust you, but because I know what it's like to have that thing take over your mind. I don't know if... Now that we're so close to this being over, I kind of feel like I can talk more openly about it, but I don't think we were really that open with you before. And I had attuned to the wand a couple of months ago, and I stayed attuned to it until quite recently, only just a couple of days before you and I met. And it was some of the worst days of my life. The voices that were in the wand were constantly invading my mind and trying to get me to make additional pacts with it, make additional deals. It was always promising me, oh, I can give you more power, I can get you out of the situation, I can save your friends. And
my grandmother was like that.
Yeah, so was my mobile phone provider.
So anyway,
She was a horrible woman, Hayden.
yeah, we've mentioned it, but it's still difficult to talk about, but I had to make a choice to accept a deal with the wand so I could save everyone that was here, because we were about to die at Ghost's hands when his ritual, that, by the way, he tricked us into doing. I don't think that was made clear, but anyway, we were tricked into doing that ritual, and he turned around and tried to kill us all. And the only way that we survived was I made a deal with that wand to get Zug back, because he had been taken somewhere that wasn't on this plane anymore. And only by him being returned to us, we were able to turn the tides of battle and survive. And it was we barely survived. But the payment for that deal was the wand wanted to take a life, and I thought, well, sure, Ghost has just become enemy number one. I'd be quite happy to trade Ghost's life for the sake of saving my friends. And that was how I thought the deal would work. I thought I understood how it worked. And I was wrong. Instead, completely out of my control when we were running from a situation, the wand went off on its own and killed Nadan, a close friend
What,
of
did it
ours.
sprout legs and run off?
It literally just... I wasn't even near it. It was actually in a building that we were at least, like, 90 feet away from, if not farther, and it just apparated in front of me. It wasn't even in my hand, and the next thing we knew, it fired off a bolt of energy at him, and we didn't know it was him at first, but we found out later, and...
That's because you made a deal with it.
Yeah, but...
You shouldn't make deals with things like that, Aiden.
Well, obviously, I wouldn't
I know
have.
I'm stating the obvious, and that's not very helpful to say, but...
Yeah,
Your lives really are just a spiraling cataclysm of disasters, aren't they?
yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good
DM.
description.
Yes.
Can I make an insight check if this guy's trying to schmooze us? You know, like, you know, we've
Yes.
been had over too many times for someone like.
Would you like
Pascal
a
to not be
charisma
suspicious.
check?
Sure. Clued make
Persuasion?
a persuasion or deception, depending on whichever one it is. Luke, make an insight check.
28.
Rolled an 8. I may burn a sorcery point to re-roll that though. Wait, 28. Can I even win? I don't think I can.
I'm a bard.
Like, what is Askell trying to work out? I suppose is like What do you think Barnes is trying to achieve, or what are you trying to work out? What he's trying to achieve?
It's like, is he over reassuring us? You know what I mean? Like, is it like, that guy ghost? No, nothing like him. No, that kind of thing. You know?
I think as long as you've known him, he's been pretty indulgent in most things that you guys have said. And this seems no more or less than his normal sort of behavior.
Yeah, I think this is pretty on point for Barnes, as it were. I don't think this doesn't pick up danger vibes. I mean, you know what Barnes wants. It's not like he's being particularly secretive about it.
Look, Barnes.
Go on.
The thing is that the Wand of Orcus in particular is the last thing that I would have ever made a deal with. But the thing is that whatever entity is inside that wand, besides Vespin, because there are two, it's not just Vespin in there, but it knows how to get deep into your mind and figure out what you want, and it will offer you your deepest desire. And my fear is that you want something from this wand. You want answers. You want to know your past and why you died. And I think it's entirely feasible that speaking to this wand, it's going to say, okay, I'll trade you information for whatever it wants. And it's going to phrase it so innocuously. It's going to be the most innocent agreement. And we won't have any power to stop that from happening, because it will all be done in your mind, and we won't even be part of that equation. And we've fought so hard to get to this point, to destroy this thing. It's taken so many lives.
I understand that, but listen, I'm somebody who's not easily swayed by anything at all, really. I mean, I tried to impart you with some of that in the fight. I can make it pretty difficult to charm anyone in my presence. It was one of the things I was always quite good at parties. Archmages would show up and try and charm each other into submission, and they just sort of stood by me and said, hey, Barnes, play the piano for me for a bit, and I just sort of do it, you know. But I'm not stupid, Hayden. If the Wand of Orcus offers me a deal, I'm not going to take it, because I don't deal with demon artifacts. That's not my speed, so...
Okay, so what if you speak to it and it says, I'm not giving you any answers unless you make a deal with me? Are you going to be satisfied with not knowing?
Not going to be satisfied, but... it's a demon object. Hayden, demons are... I hate Vespin Chloras a lot, but demons are even worse, aren't they? He's the demon prince of undeath. I mean,
Yeah.
and I don't have anyone's life on the line at this precise moment. It's just, well, something I'll need to deal with personally.
That's the thing. Is you don't think you have someone's life on the line at this moment, but there's nothing stopping that thing from firing off against your will with zero control from you.
Well, that's if I've, whatever it is, become one with the wand, attuned to it, used it. I won't have done it. I just want to talk to it. Surely you must have talked to it before you just signed your soul over to it. You must have been able to have conversations, say, hello, Wand of Orcus. It would have been like, hello, Hayden, I'm the Wand of Orcus.
I knew fine
Fear
well
me,
what
be
it
my
was.
friend. Right, exactly. You knew exactly what it was. You're familiar with it. You knew. You'd... But really, it just went from 0 to 100. You just picked it up and bam, in a pact forever. Surely there was an event that caused you to have to use it, and that was it. I'm not going to use the wand, Hayden. I'm going to talk to it. It's very different. I'm invoking no power. I just want to give Vespin Clora some shit and find out why he murdered me. But if this is going nowhere, I understand. I just find it quite difficult that I've laid my life on the line for you, put myself in harm's way in front of that dragon with very little regard to my own safety. And you can't even trust me to have a conversation with a talking stick.
It's more than just a talking stick, and you know that. It's taken countless lives.
A lot of swords have taken countless lives, but we still pick them up and put them in museums, don't we?
He kind of turns and looks at Zug and Asgore. Well, are you guys going to say anything?
Go ahead, Zug.
Seems pretty honest. That's the point.
On the
Just
outside, sorry.
Nah, I'm done.
On the outside, Asgore just shrugs, but then you hear it psychically in your head. You've been screwed over too many times before. He seems nice enough, but I feel like we're too weak on this sort of thing. I wouldn't trust him. Not with this. With other things, but not with this.
Hayden kind of nods. He doesn't nod his head, but he kind of like meets Asgore's eyes, but then like looks away from him after he's done talking, and he kind of glances at Lanharath, albeit reluctantly.
What's your concern? How am I going to be charmed by something when there's a paladin right here, and when I myself am particularly resistant to it? What on earth are you afraid of?
Lanharath kind of opens
once again.
one eye. You all are under similar protection than you were when this body was inhabited by Aku.
Wait, it's still inhabited by Aku, right?
Yes, partly.
Kind of like looks at him squintily, like.
I'm
Oh wait,
sure
this is
your
common
friend will
knowledge.
return.
This is fake Aku, alright. Alright. Cool, sure. It's just a guy hanging out in Aku's body, sure.
Kind of closes an eye again and goes back to meditating.
Yeah, on that note, sorry, if Barnes wants to go ahead.
No.
At the end of this conversation, no, this is kind of a tangent. So at the end of this conversation, DM, I'd like to try something.
Okay.
So we have his protection. I'm extremely resistant towards having my mind played around with. I'm not going to use any power. I'm going to speak to it. You're all around me, and if I start to go crazy and start firing off magic, you can just put me down, because, to be honest, I wouldn't stand a chance against any of you, so...
Why do you have to be the one to speak to it?
Because I need to talk to Vespin Cloras to find out why he killed me.
Why can't you
Who
find
else
out?
is going to do it?
I could speak to him.
Because I want to ask him, because I knew that man in my past life, and I don't remember how or why, but he did it to me, Hayden. Why do you want to talk to it?
I don't.
Right, just let me do it. My goodness. He's gonna, like, stand up and throw his arms in the air and just be like, I just want to know why I was murdered and kept in stasis for 1,000 years with scars around my eyes. Do you understand how maddening it is to have no idea why any of that happened? And the answers are right there in that bag of holding, held by a talking stick that your friends won't let you have access to because they're worried you're going to murder someone with it, when really in all likelihood you could murder a fucking fly. You're not even going to use the
Okay.
power.
Excuse me? That's exceptionally condescending and very rude.
Good.
Change your tone.
I hope I've been rude. I'm trying to express how ridiculous it all is. Ah.
You're not going to get anywhere with an attitude like that.
All right. Then I will say this much, that I am very upset, extremely hurt, and that the danger that I was put in dealing with your enemy ghost yesterday probably could have taken my life quite easily as well, and I still stood with you and stuck around to do it. So, I don't know, guys. What more do you want from me?
Let's let him speak to the wand for a few seconds. What harm could it do?
Perfectly, I wouldn't do it. In fact, don't do it. And then you hear out loud, Hayden, I've not carried the burden of this thing. But perhaps a compromise, he sort of raises one eyebrow, would be if you were to talk to the wand. Would it be of any great cost to yourself? As a mediator, a messenger perhaps. That way we don't have to part ways of the wand and
Well, that's what
the
I just
message can
offered.
be carried forward.
You want the person that's already killed somebody with that thing to talk to it again. That's your... Do you see that maybe that's not a very good compromise?
The difference
He's
here
like,
is
just keeps trying to stick his hand up. He's like, why can't we all just talk to the wand? Like, why does it have to be
Right.
just one person? I don't really understand.
Right, maybe we just put him in the circle, we can hold hands and have a sit around with it and say, hello, Vespin, do you want to explain some things to us?
Yeah, that'd be great. If we're
Oh,
all
frankly,
together,
I
he
don't
can't
understand the
manipulate all of
difference
us.
from what I don't understand the difference from what you're suggesting and what you've just said.
I mean, I just want to be involved, really.
Well,
the
I'll keep you involved no matter what. I'll probably need some emotional support after it, Zug, so maybe if you wouldn't mind giving me a hug once I find out why somebody that... Well, whatever, why he killed me.
the difference between, and Hayden
No
starts to
problem.
raise his voice at this point, the difference between me speaking to the wand and you speaking to the wand is that I don't have an undying wish to know what's happened to me. It's me doing it as a favor for you. So if the wand starts to offer me whatever
I'm still
deal, then I have more power here to say no. Whereas you have went on about this for weeks, since you since you found out
On
about this.
it.
While you
Hayden.
two are shouting at each other now, Roman bursts back into the room. It's like, by the light of the fucking Luxon, will you all stop raising your fucking voices? I'm trying to meditate.
Sorry, old man.
Sorry, Grandpa.
You, and he turns on Barnes right now, are so desperate to end your miserable little fucking life. You go to sleep for 1,000 years and wake up in a new world, and all you can think of is, oh, I wish that I could remember my miserable little existence. I was asleep for 1,000 years, and I don't remember any of it. Well, you know what? Some of us have the fucking agony of remembering our waking moments. Some of us have to remember the things that have happened to us. Go ahead, Hayden. Throw him the fucking wand. Let him have it. Let him end his miserable life. Maybe the wand will take it for him. Maybe he'll
Yes.
never have to think about it again.
yes, Askel.
I would like to cast Charm Person
On who?
on Roman as a psionic spell with no components whatsoever.
Unfortunately, you are in the presence of Aku, which blocks it.
Just blocks
and,
altogether. Any charming effects.
Any charm effect is blocked.
and he
Crazy.
turns
All
to
right,
Hayden. He
cool.
says, don't you think for a second that it is in any way in your interest to interact with that thing again. Do not put yourself at risk. If he wants it, give it to him. It is his responsibility. And the burden of his past is on him.
Okay. Yeah. Fine.
Don't you think that's a little irresponsible? And as your brother's brother, I would expect you of all people to have a little more caution.
Oh, boy.
Maybe I just don't give a fuck anymore.
Oh, boy.
Well, it's
Maybe
good that you could admit
I've
it.
had enough. I've just had a fucking enough, okay? Just let him have it. And if he gets taken over by the wand, well, we've already got the stuff to kill it. We'll put him down and the wand with it. You accept that?
Well, Hayden, clearly you're in charge here, but I wouldn't have you for a second take heed from somebody who declares himself not to care.
Lauren?
I'm sorry, I woke Bucky up by shouting to let him out. Well, that's just it, isn't it? He doesn't care. He wants his answers at any cost. And ultimately, no matter what we do, we are putting an end to this wand. And if he is resistant as he says, and if he is, got all of that in check, then great, he gets his answers. We can all move along. Happy. If not, well, we've got our plan anyway.
You have such a funny way of speaking to and about somebody that has risked their life and limb for you constantly over your own dangers in the last few days. I'm not going to address any of what you just said to me, Roman, but frankly, and he's going to take a step up close to him and do that, standoffish, in-your-face thing, be like, if you ever speak to me like that again. Do you know what? I'm not going to tell you, because that would make it less fun when it happens. And he's gonna turn around, sit kind of cross-legged, and say, make your decision. Clearly I have no bearing in it, so just decide amongst yourselves. And if not, we'll do it tomorrow, and we can all be on our way.
So we're not going to all hold hands and do it together then? That idea is... I mean, I just put it forwards. I thought that maybe it could be a way to do things communally, maybe a compromise. No? Okay. Just food for thought.
Hayden's gonna pull Roman aside and kind of in a hushed whisper, which could probably be overheard if anyone tries, he's gonna kind of pull him down and say, Roman, if we give this to him, is there any way that he can literally just grab it and disappear out of here and it's gone and everything we've done up until this point has been for nothing just before the final hurdle?
Roman kind of looks at his hands and you can kind of see some magic exchange kind of between his fingers, and then you see him look towards Ascor. No, I don't expect you could leave here. Just give it to him, Hayden. End this drama.
Fine. Hayden's gonna flip open the bag of holding and take the bundle of fabric out that's holding the Wand of Orcus, and he's going to toss it onto the ground at Barnes's feet, and in the same movement, he's going to pull his crossbow out and point it at Barnes's chest, and he'll say, one wrong fucking move, and we will take you up on your offer of ending it for you right here.
Yeah, Roman's gonna put his hand up, and some fancy Doctor Strange ass chronergy stuff is kind of gonna get ready.
Barnes is just gonna snort. Oh, go on.
I was gonna say, Ascor was gonna finally go, okay, all right. Put his hands up and sort of walk in between the group as a sort of a shield between the two, and say, I would like to propose that we wait till the morning to do this.
Barnes' hands just darts out and he just takes it the second he says it. And before he does it, he'll just kind of sort of be like, fucking cowards. And yeah.
Okay, grab the wand. It is cold. Freezingly cold to your touch. Even you, who's pretty cold in general. Heartbeat's pretty low
Yeah.
on that Revenant.
I'm a corpse.
You feel it feels like it's draining something, not enough to ever be a problem, but just merely touching this thing is slightly disconcerting. And as you look at the skull kind of opened in what some would see as a cackle or maybe a laugh, could also be interpreted as a scream, but like large, much larger than a human's kind of spine that forms this. You kind of look at the skull and there's no kind of thing that would obviously make it Vespin's. If anything, it's slightly larger, which maybe as it's made a magical object. But there's no voice from it, no presence, no sign, no hearing. You don't hear a voice in your head, and as you're just holding, you look around, obviously everything that's happening, maybe focused on this, but for now at least, the wand is silent to you.
He just laughs and says, "Oh, Vespin, I always knew you had a big head, but it's actually..." Kind of twizzles it around his hands. "Are you really not going to speak to me? Really? Do I need to bang your head on the ground or something?" "Hello, Vespin Chloras, you piece of shit." "Wand of Orcus." "Wow. Just like that, you don't even want to try."
Maybe it's shy.
"You don't even want to talk to me. After all of that." Hayden, did you only hear its voice after you gave yourself to it?
No. I've spoken
Terms
to
and
it since then.
conditions.
Everyone
have
else
a
goes
comment.
silent except for Clued.
Yo, whispers mode. Okay.
Oh, wait, give me a sec. I gotta work out. This is my phone. Hold on. No.
This has been the most stressful session of D&D of my fucking life, boys. Oh my word.
Okay, let me know when everyone's quiet. Luke, let me know. Okay. As kind of you're just more and more annoyed, kind of annoyance is building. There's a sliver of a voice. It doesn't remind you of Vespin. Definitely not Vespin. Something deep in the back of your mind. Pretend I've said nothing at all.
He folds his arms and sinks back into the wall and focuses on looking petulant in front of the
Okay.
group. Does it sound like a mental communication?
Yeah, everyone else can come back.
That was quick.
Barnes has just sunk into the wall, looks petulant.
He's just sort of gonna mutter quietly, "After all of that, doesn't even want to talk to me. Imagine that." Typical fucking Vespin Chloras.
No, not the answer.
Can't say your
Sure.
behavior has encouraged him in any way.
I just can't understand how y'all talk about my behavior, but the way you've been talking to me and treating me, it's... Guys, I don't blame your friend for leaving. And, yeah, he just falls quiet. He'll recast Liamon's tiny hut.
Is he still holding the wand?
I suppose so. He's occasionally just, like, looking at it. Maybe occasionally, like, whacks it on the wall where they're like, "Fuck's sake." sort of vibe.
Hayden still has his bow drawn, and he's gonna say, "If you're done with it, wrap it up and hand it back."
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
What did it say?
Nothing at all.
Complete silence.
Nothing at all.
Ah, that's unfortunate. Sorry about that, buddy.
Thanks, Sug. I appreciate that. I really do. And, yeah, I guess if the group have their weapons trained on him, he's gonna roll the wand back over to Hayden and be like, "Careful, Hayden. Doesn't make any noise or do anything at all. Very scary.
He's just gonna silently crouch down and bundle the wand back up and put it back in his bag.
Speaking of which, Hayden, have you heard much from the wand recently?
Jamie,
Yes.
a point of clarification. I feel like we spoke to the wand after we met Barnes, which was after we unattuned from the wand, correct?
Yeah, the
correct.
one told him, or told you that Vespin was the one that killed him, right?
Yeah.
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 You didn't speak to the wand until you attuned to it, but after attuning to it and then unattuning, it still seems to be able to communicate with you.
Right, I see. Okay. As Hayden's about to put the wand back in his bag, he's going to give it a quick shake and kind of try to telepathically speak to it. Although Hayden doesn't have that ability, but maybe it's afforded as part of the wand, and he's gonna kind of try to ask, "You still in there?"
Bold.
Bald?
As in
Scared.
bold.
Oh, bald.
I thought you said bald as well. I was like, oh shit.
What is this insult? I still have a full head of
One
hair.
hell of a prejudice. From the...
Yeah, that's rude.
Once more, Hayden. Once more.
He's gonna stop with his hand not quite in his bag yet, and he's gonna pull it back out, and he's gonna say, "Barnes, what questions do you have for it?"
To talk to Vespin. I want to know why he did it. I want to know if he preserved me. I want to know why I have scars around my eyes. I want to know so much. I just don't know anything at all.
What's your number one question?
Why did he do it?
All right. He's gonna kind of look at the wand in his hands, and he's gonna ask
Hayden.
out loud.
Are you sure?
He deserved it.
He'll look at Roman and he'll nod. It's fine. Why did he deserve it? He says this out loud, by the way.
Because you
Perks up and
all
stuff.
do. Vile
Say.
little creatures.
Hayden, what's he saying?
He says,
This sounds like to you, Hayden? This is the wand. You've heard Vespin. It's
Mm.
not Vespin.
What
"Is
what did he say?
Vespin still in there?"
So is Nadan.
Damn, I hate the silence.
You guys can hear the one-sided bit of Hayden's conversation, by the way. He's speaking out loud. I want to speak to Vespin.
You spent many days telling Barnes he couldn't speak to Vespin. Now you presume to ask that of me?
Yeah. Hand him
You're
over.
forgetting who's in charge here, Hayden.
I think you're forgetting that we're about
Ever
to
since
destroy you.
I've given what you've done, I welcome that.
What do you
Everywhere
mean?
you go, you create more chaos. Destroy me. Bring back Vespin.
What's he saying?
He's gonna turn to the group and he's gonna relay, as close to verbatim as he can, what the wand has said to him so far. He's not
Well-
letting me speak to Vespin yet, and he's
Well, he
insinuating.
did critically say it, that Vespin comes back if we destroy him.
Great. Well, that's great news. Fantastic. Thanks,
That's great
Mr.
for you.
Wand. Why
I
didn't
know,
you
it's
just tell
pretty
me
good.
that?
I don't think he wants to talk to you. Seems a
Well,
bit upset,
Right.
doesn't he?
What's with that?
the way he says it implies it's just going to be another step on our staircase of mistakes.
All right,
Yeah,
like
well, of course he'd
weakening
say
the
that.
divine gate by taking the body and, endangering the tree. Yeah, that's... that
You know,
was a pretty
guys,
good
I
one.
was thinking, right? Like, we went all the way out to. I know it's a bit dangerous when I do that, but honestly, hear me out. We went all the way out to the big tree, and we were by ourselves, and we didn't tell anyone, as Ghost said, which was kind of a stupid decision. But surely, if something happens to the divine gate, Roshana has an army. Ghost wouldn't last very long against a big army, right? Maybe we should
Right.
just tell someone that the tree's under attack.
Right,
and
it's
call it
just
a day.
all the gods. It's just the gods. I'm sure the army will handle the gods just fine.
I mean,
yeah.
that's assuming that he has actually broken the divine gate or something. But we should probably tell somebody that, there's an evil force trying to do something to the tree.
Probably.
Sorry,
Yeah.
when did it become clear that we've broken a divine gate?
Well,
Yeah, that's a
isn't
good point.
that-
Actually, I didn't say that we did.
Isn't that what the nature gods said? That, and also the dragon, that we had to replace the body of Vespin when we took it, else, the whole purpose of the tree would be put in jeopardy. And I believe you told me that the purpose of the tree was the protection of the divine gate, which was erected after they were, the gods were pushed back behind
He
it.
is correct. Removing Vespin's
Right.
body removed the power source for Arbor Exemplar, which is a vital part of upholding the strength of the Divine Gate.
Why did
Right,
we
we
do
did
that?
I don't really understand what you're talking about, but I still think we should tell somebody.
To destroy the Wand of Orcus. And because nobody else wanted to climb into the coffin.
It
That was an
matters not.
option?
Right, yeah.
Lanarath
It-
opens his eyes. Whilst your choices have indeed caused that, the Arbor Exemplar stands for some time. It will be long before it is sufficiently weakened. You have simply set a chain of events in motion.
So you agree we should probably tell someone?
I suspect that your former ally, our former ally, Ghost, was not incorrect when he mocked us, for never sharing our problems or telling people of the issues we face.
When we
That
return
seems
to
like a-
Arizona, we can deal with this, but for now, it matters little.
I mean, I think it matters more than a little. I think we're downplaying the situation once again.
What can we do about it, Zug?
I mean, I just said tell someone. Surely that's what we want to do.
The last time we told someone about what we've been up to, we had Essek Thalis arresting Roman's entire family, and we all became fugitives from Rasona.
But he doesn't know where we are right now. Couldn't you just send a quick message to Essex Dalis and just be like, hey, you should go check out the tree?
It
We're
can
not-
wait until we return as well.
Okay, well, I mean, as long as we do it. I just feel a bit bad,
We shouldn't mention the tree, Zug, until we've left here.
Where
I
even
mean,
is here?
as long as we leave a message. I mean, you could talk into people's heads, can't you, Askell? That's a pretty neat trick. You could tell them from a long way away.
That's a semi-genuine question from myself. I know it comes with the furniture with the subclass, but I think I may have traded it out.
For heaven's sake.
With good reason. I don't believe I can no longer.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah. It's up to you what you want to say. I don't know that. As if Haskell would admit
Why do
he
you-
shouldn't do something.
Skull would just be like, you don't know what you're talking about, Zug.
I
This
mean,
power is a rare and heavy and beautiful burden.
Ah. Okay.
We're lucky that it's such strong shoulders that bear that burden, Asgore.
So I kind of like awkwardly looks around as if the thing's fallen squad and goes, well, on that note, I'm going to go to bed. Try not to kill each other while I'm sleeping. That would be nice. Thank you.
So please look after me if they shoot me in the night.
I can try. Got a heavy
Nice.
sleeper though.
Please do, I can count on. He probably like nudges over to Zog and makes a point to sleep next to him. It's just like, you don't mind if I just sidle up here, do you?
No,
Thanks.
it's fine. Don't worry.
Thanks, man.
I do snore though.
That's fine.
Sweet.
I don't sleep. I'm dead. I don't need to.
Ah,
Sweet
yes.
dreams, Hayden.
Oh, fuck off. He says out loud. And it probably sounds like he's saying it to Bard.
Well, it's just
As you begin
stares at
to
the ceiling.
age and your hair begins to fall out even more, you hear the one say, baldness.
Baldness curse you.
Well, that was the original curse when I first attuned to it.
Well, we have an episode titled Boldness Curse.
Oh my god.
To be fair, that's actually probably the worst possible curse you could do to almost
Yeah.
anyone in this party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all
Curse
very
of
much
being
like our
ugly.
hair.
Are you? It's so to clarify. Is everyone going to bed? Is that what's happening now? You guys?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
Zog
thought-
is.
I
It's
thought
up
we
to
were
you
gonna
guys
talk
if
to
you
the
want
wand
to.
some more.
I don't know.
I
Roman
mean,
will
I
stay
don't
up
have
on
much
watch.
to say, right?
Roman will be on watch. All right, cool.
Wanda's drawing its lines, you know. He's
He's been a
DM.
dickhead. We're
It's
just gonna
not
kill him.
over yet.
DM. Asgore, as everyone sort of reaches their slumber point, would like to subtle off a spell, keeping an eye on Lanharath there. A detect thoughts, but not targeting Lanharath, targeting Aku, who inhabits the same body.
Yep.
To try and free.
Yeah. You are getting so service level thoughts.
In fact, before he does that, he'll probably try and connect telepath.
It's interesting. Have you ever tried to detect thoughts on Aku before? I think
Maybe.
not. You delve in expecting to find two different entities or the evidence of two. But there's one. There's one consciousness. You don't see evidence of a second one to kind of hide behind, and as you kind of get surface level thoughts, there are two distinct oceans of emotions. One, calm, and they seem to lap against each other, kind of feeding in one after the other, almost kind of perpetually kind of reversing. One is a sea of currently right now anger, hot red anger. The other one, concern, but calm, serene almost, attempting it. Serene that it's regularly being battered by the ocean of anger around it is what you get on a surface level.
In that case, I'd like to try with Aku, not detect thoughts, but just conversation-wise, and just say, call for Aku from Asgore von Galverdane. Do I reach Aku? Do I read this mono-consciousness?
You
Do
read
I
this
reach...
mono-consciousness, and the response is from, it's again in Aku's voice, but you've seen them both speak with Aku's voice. What is it, Asgore?
Do you sleep?
Yes.
When can I talk to Aku?
I am unsure what level of control I give up can ever be restored. So, for now, you may not, and I do not know when.
You know, I thought you'd be more powerful. And Asgore just disconnects.
No.
Brutal. little savage.
I love
There's
it.
a slight frown on Lanhar Aku's face across like those of you who had that perception to see.
Askell wouldn't see it. He's turned over the other way. He's nodding off already. Clear as day conscience.
Cool. Roman, where are you facing? Have you gone up to look out the cavern or out the basement, or are you just sitting on the outside? Where are you?
He would have probably gone for like an angry little walk around, like kicking dirt and like, you know, kind of like punching wardrobes as he does. Beforehand, but like now he probably will be near Hayden, sitting down across like
Watching Hayden or watching just the chamber? You guys are generally
watching the chamber. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. In which case, you make a perception check for me.
Not very good at perception. It's dirty 20.
Dirty 20. All right. We'll see what happens with that after the break.
You
to
know,
give you guys.
Jamie, I was just gonna say, I cannot believe the first time I spoke to the Wand of Orcus, and I was like, yo, I want to speak to Vespin. I threatened the wand by saying, I'm gonna make you eat this piece of ham, because we decided for some reason that the wand was vegetarian.
Yo, wait, what? That's how we spoke to Vespin?
I think you rolled a natural 20 on your intimidation check. Like, I think this is what happened.
I was like doing it as a joke. I was like, because we'd made this big thing about like the ham that was on the table in the tavern that we're in was kind of nasty. So I was like, I'm gonna feed this to you, and then you were like, all right, roll, and I was like,
Despite the fact that
that's
Zug had just been eating it.
Yeah.
Did you? So to cover, did you ever look at what the coin was, or ever ask anyone what the coin was, Barnes, or would you have done?
Well, I don't have identify. I don't know if there's a way to Arcana check it and try figure it out.
If you want to make an Arcana check, yeah.
I cannot speak to the party at this precise moment.
Yeah, make an Arcana check quickly. We'll come back. Do a break in a second.
Natural 20, pog.
Natural 20. All right.
Yeah.
I will. So you remember this as one of the more fun items you were gifted to as a present. Like the memories come back to you. This is the all or nothing coin. Once per week, you can elect to use this coin rather than roll a d20. You flip it, you get a heads, it's natural 20, tails, natural 1.
Oh, pog, that's so fun.
Ooh.
Wow.
Interesting.
Can I have this coin?
Is that attunement or
50-50 chance to crit? I'll take it.
Not attunement, and cannot be affected by other rolls, including chronal shift and all this bullshit.
Pog, that's so fun. I love it.
Yeah, the all or nothing coin.
Okay, cool.
All right. Cool. We will
Thank
take
you
a
so
break.
much for
All
having
right,
us.
folks.
Cool.
We'll see you
Back at 10 to 9. Yep.
Yes,
All right,
Okay,
see you guys in a bit.
bye.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. The party has been pretty fractious. Barnes has found some interesting things in his old house, and the wand has chatted a little bit to the group before you all settled in for a long rest. Barnes, could you
What?
make
Oh, wait,
a
me?
sleight of hand check for me?
Wait, what?
Excuse me?
Sleight
Not
of
as
hand?
trustworthy as you thought,
No,
eh,
the
Barnes?
DMs put this on me.
Yeah, such is the nature
Well,
of magic.
as we know, Hayden
Sleight of
didn't
hand.
choose to kill Nadan.
Barnes. Roman got a 22 on perception.
22.
22. Sleight of hand. As you're kind of in your semi-state of not paying attention to anything, you're frustrated looking up. You turn over, and nestled in your chest, out of the sight of Roman, is Vespin's skull staring straight at you.
Shit, dude! Like a little
Where's the
cat.
tunes, Jamie? Where's the tunes?
I
It's,
don't-
it's like when you wake up and there's a cat on your
Yeah.
chest, but it's Bespin Quiet's skull.
I hate everything.
An
about
actual
this.
night terror. An
An
actual,
actual night
Oh
terror.
my
Just
God.
staring at you, and you kind of breathe deeply for a second, and you kind of think that Roman can't see or anyone can't see, and for a single second, just obviously shock. And if you could breathe, you breathe heavily.
So I don't have any telepathy spells or anything. So he's just going to stare down at it, and once the shock has worn off, he'll just raise an eyebrow at it like, uh-huh.
Barnes, roll me a perception check.
What? 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22. 22.
Yeah, it's just there. It's just
Just
almost
chilling?
just chilling
Just
on your
chilling.
chest. Cold, exceedingly cold to the touch, staring up at you.
Empty eye holes.
What does one even do in this scenario?
Sorry.
No, I'm not going to say it.
I'm gonna... Wait, can I detect thoughts in an inanimate object?
Don't think so.
Have a look. Creatures. Certain creatures. Does it constitute a creature? Would
No.
it be a certain kind of creature?
Would it be a certain type? No.
Seems like a pretty uncertain creature to me.
Yeah.
Okay, then very slowly he'll reach his hand up and lick it in the forehead. And it wants me to attune to it, doesn't it? It's like a needy little animal, like, give me pats. He's gonna laugh and hold it quite loudly, so Roman probably spots this. He's gonna hold it directly up in the air and be like, "You stupid bastard! I mean, didn't you say that we were bringing Vespin back tomorrow anyway? All I want's to talk to him. Jeez, get off me!" He's gonna fling it at the other side of the room. Turn to Roman and be like, "Isn't that creepy? Came to give me a cuddle."
That's
Barnes.
kind of what it all does.
Barnes, you hear? Good luck getting answers from a broken man.
Ooh. Oh, he looks back at it, slightly annoyed, and mutters, "Well, to be honest, you probably have your own part to play in that, so..."
Where's the rest of the body?
You guys have it in a bag, right? I assume you put it in a bag of holding.
In a Sainsbury's bag, yeah.
Yeah, Sainsbury's bag.
Can Roman go up
Yeah.
and pick the skull up and put it in the bag with the rest of the body?
Yeah, it's in
Wait, don't do that!
It's in Hayden's bag of holding. I think it's there. Yeah, I mean, I'll say they're all in a separate demi-plane. I will rule this as they're not all together.
No, wait. Roman would remember Hayden specifically stating yesterday, let's not put the wand in the same bag as the body.
Oh, it was the wand! I thought it was just a skull.
No, it's
this
a whole
is
wand.
The wand
Dead-ass
is
Wand of
Vespin's skull.
Orcus. Yeah.
No, but the way you said it was just a skull, I thought it was just
Oh, as in the skull was
skull-
like in the vision, but obviously the
Right.
spine was like.
I didn't
that's- okay,
understand
okay.
that it was the whole ass wand that had right. Okay,
Yeah.
that kind of changes my whole perception of what
Right, I
just
thought you were
happened.
quite casual about that one.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it's the wand that he's just
Got
thrown
yeeted across the room.
Okay. And is Hayden asleep or like trying to sleep? Or?
So I would say that Hayden's a pretty light sleeper in general due to his backstory. Jamie, what would I roll to see if he would have woken up from all these
You wake up.
shenanigans?
Shouting of that, I'll say you would wake up. I'd say
Okay.
all of you. Given the fact you're in a new place, it's scary. Like you're all light sleepers. All of you wake up at that.
Yeah.
Oh. What happened?
Oh.
The wand is just trying to get in Barnes's good books, I suppose, as it is wont to do.
Came to give me a
So
little
continue
snuggle.
snoring and I'll be back in a second.
And he's gonna see the wand on the floor and he's gonna make a dart for it to go grab it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just picks up cold to the touch as always, and you stuff it in a different bag.
Roman sort of like goes over to Hayden, like pats him on the back and kind of edges him over back to, I guess, where they were before. Now he has the wand. He just sort of whispers, "Yes, it sort of checks out, did you see?"
Were you awake this whole time, or were you meditating?
I was awake. I'm not sure it's necessarily... I don't think this is the most dangerous place, but I don't necessarily trust our safety.
Did you see him approach me and get into the bag?
No, I didn't. He didn't move. I didn't even see the bag move either.
Fucking hell. It's getting desperate. It knows that we're destroying it tomorrow, so...
And it certainly has a chance.
Yeah.
Its final hours, it does a little death struggle.
I don't think I'm gonna be able to sleep. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. And, we can just get this done once everyone's woken up. And Hayden will, bundle the wand back up into its cloth, and, he's gonna hold it kind of on his knees as he sits kind of on the floor next to Roman. And he's gonna choose not to sleep for the rest of the night.
Right. Cool. You will take a point of exhaustion.
That's fine.
Which is fine. Make
DM,
Yeah.
Askell was going to mention before everyone went off to sleep, just he's just, sat up with everyone speaking and everyone's been disturbed, and just say, I think the point stands. Perhaps it would have been a good idea until the morning, and he just tosses over and goes back to sleep, exhausted.
Okay. Hayden, you realize the wand's not there. Disappeared. Zug.
Hello.
You wake up to
Yeah.
an odd sensation as the Wand of Orcus is lying on your chest. Zug, you're dreaming. Don't worry, I can't hurt you here.
Attempts to slap himself.
So you slap yourself, you don't wake up.
I don't wake up. Like,
No, because you're already awake.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't wake up. Yeah, I just kind of like. Wait, am I supposed to wake up or am I not supposed to? Oh, shit. He kind of just sits there, like, bit frozen, looking at it, like, hello.
I own your soul. If I were to be destroyed, you would be destroyed with me.
How do you don't own my soul? What are you on about? That's a lie.
Do I
Nice
look like
try,
I lie?
I never gave you my soul. He
You
says with the
sure?
second word.
You gave it to Raishan fairly easily.
That was different. She was in a ring. I've never touched you.
It's like a long sigh.
He's not wrong.
And she was nice. You're very evil looking. I don't trust you.
So to clarify, if I was more appealing, you just say yes?
I mean, he kind of pauses and thinks for a second. I wouldn't necessarily just say yes, but I wouldn't, it's different.
Hayden, I'll say at this point you've noticed it's obviously missing. There's been like a short conversation.
I'm going to quickly look around the room.
The wand is sitting there on Zug's chest, and Zug is kind of having a fairly open conversation with it.
Zug, what the fuck, man?
What? Oh, I am awake. Oh, he kind of decide, and he just kind of like smacks it off his chest.
Asko's gonna be so livid.
he
We're
like
burning
smacks
Asko's
off
beauty
his chest. He goes, "Ah, you tricky! You tried to trick me." It was.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
I don't like it. No, I'm fine. It said something about owning my soul, but he doesn't own my soul.
He doesn't. Only
No,
you own your
I knew
soul,
that.
Zug. Yeah.
I knew that. I knew that.
Okay.
It's
You're
very
good.
tricky.
It is very tricksy.
He kind of glares at it a bit.
Okay, I'm gonna go pick it up again. Just stay
Yeah,
there.
good idea.
And
I'm
he
not
goes
going
over
anywhere.
and
Don't worry.
bundles
I don't
the wand up again. And he's like, "Stop trying this. It's not gonna work, dude."
I'm only trying to save you from yourself.
Oh, fuck off.
How long have we been asleep for, or not asleep?
Not long enough.
Not
You
long.
should.
Yeah, you should go back to
I
sleep,
feel very
Zug.
tired. Can you just kind of like put the wand in a cage or something? I didn't like that.
Yeah. I'll keep an eye on it.
I
Thank
still
you.
have like the Deseret cage with me, don't I?
Ooh.
You do, yeah.
But doesn't that
Mm.
require us like freeing the Deseret?
Yeah.
I was about to say Deseret's in it. No?
Yeah, I was gonna say he probably like holds up the bird cage and it's like probably not enough room in here for both of them.
No, I don't
Although
think
it
so.
would be interesting.
Surely it's not a good idea to reunite those two. Anyway,
Can a Deseret?
We-
Could the Deseret attune to the wand if it was in the same
who
cage?
the fuck
Probably
knows,
not in the
man?
cage.
Let's not risk that one, guys. Maybe.
Um,
Yeah.
I've already asked before, but we can't put the wand in like a subspace container, so I couldn't put it in wrist pocket or anything. It would just get out, right?
Yeah,
it
that,
has done in the past.
yeah, got out of the bag of holding in the past.
Yeah.
It seems to not give a shit.
But
Okay.
Is
As
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, go on.
No, go
I
ahead.
was saying, I'm just going to say you guys complete a long rest. So if there is anything, as you guys kind of kneel down, like Roman on edge, Hayden choosing not to sleep, so point of exhaustion. You all do level, so get that up. And you wake up in the morning. It's been a cold night. It's been disturbed. You've all pretty agitated as it is, stressed by this thing. But you all rise the next day slowly but surely, determined to destroy, finally, after this long time, an object that has spent a significant amount of time causing you a great deal of pain and agitation.
And as soon as Zug gets up, he goes over to Bonds and he sits down next to him and he goes, "So you know that trick that you could do,
Which
About
one,
making-
buddy?
making food? Can you still
Oh.
do that?"
No, personally, I didn't. I just had it enchanted into a lot of
Ah.
objects in my home, which actually maybe might still be around somewhere.
He kind of perks up and looks at you and goes, "Really? Where?"
We called it a fridge. It would, like, if you tapped it, it would materialize whatever food you wanted inside of it.
His eyes go incredibly wide. You would still have this thing?
Potentially, like I said, I still had my eternally warm bathtub. Which actually, if the rest of you want protection, although y'all wear armor, but whenever I bathed in it, it would apply. I just still have the mage armor spell nowadays. It would just apply that.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds good.
Protective force, but yeah. Bathing was a protective experience as well as relaxing and made my hair nice, so.
Sounds amazing. That fridge. What way would it be?
Fridge. Well,
Yes.
I haven't found my kitchen, but
Oh, I mean, I can go have a look. I'm sure, maybe, two
How
eyes better than
about-
one. Ah.
of course, but it doesn't Aku normally materialize the food. Although, to be honest, we probably want to prepare for this ritual.
Yeah, but I don't know what Lantha Earth eats. Maybe like bugs or something.
Probably the same as everything what Aku's been cooking for you for the last however long you've been together now.
Maybe.
bugs.
Yeah, bugs.
I've seen it. Aku's an excellent chef.
Hayden, you have that little pan of yours.
Yeah. He kind of like rubs at his eyes. He's got like kind of deep bags under them from not sleeping. Yeah, hold on. And he kind of rummages in his bag and pulls out the magical frying pan. And he materializes one fully cooked breakfast platter. Which adds 1d10 temporary HP on a long rest. Jamie, I think we clarified this one before, right? It lasts until the next long rest?
Yeah.
Cool.
Or it gets overridden or used, obviously.
Cool.
Well,
3
if you
people
don't
can
stop
eat from
him,
it.
Zogwall can start immediately eating breakfast.
Oh, from the frying pan. Thought you were gonna go explore Barnes's fridge.
I mean, there's no point doing it on an empty stomach. Ha!
It's a fridge. There's an apostrophe in between.
A
Totally
fridge.
nothing.
Fridge.
Courage. Before you. Never mind. It can wait.
Aiden's gonna sleepily eat his third of the food straight from the frying pan next to Zug. There's still some left over for a third person to eat.
Roman is gonna take the components pouch, sort of like empty out onto the ground, like ruffle through it and pick out what he needs, and then start using his finger. He's just gonna start drawing like sigils like in the dirt on the floor, like doing incantations and stuff. And 4 sort of pearl-like motes of like circular light will like appear out of it, and just in case for later. And he'll send 1 to Hayden, 1 to Zerg, 1 to Barnes, and 1 to Ascor. And you each have a Fortune's Favor.
Wow, thank you.
How does Fortune Favor work?
Fortune's Favor. You impart latent luck onto one willing creature you can see. When the chosen creature makes an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, it can dismiss this spell on itself and roll 1 additional d20 and choose which of the d20s to use. Alternatively, when attack roll is made against the chosen creature, you can use the spell to make the attacker reroll. It's basically a reroll.
Nice. But it's even better than advantage because you get to choose which one.
When. Yeah.
So if we were in the ghost fight, we could have chosen a lower dice, which would have helped us out a lot.
But I ain't had any pearls, mate. I ain't got any pearls.
Now you got some.
Unlucky man.
Now you have one.
Well, I have a question. What do we think this ritual, or whatever it'll be, will entail? We're just sticking a skull on some bones and hoping it destroys it, or
Maybe we just
how can we
start
prepare?
smashing the pieces.
Yeah, you guys should probably prepare. I might go, like, stretch my legs a little bit, and then I'll be back.
Are you going to my bathtub?
No. Well,
You're going to
no.
my fridge.
Maybe.
There's a
Maybe.
big rock in the way, and also big bats. So
It's okay. I just want to go for a walk. Nothing.
We'll
big.
wait until you return.
I will be long. I promise. He's gonna
happy
just do it.
travels.
Right.
And
As
I
Zug
would like-
leaves.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, you can say it. What are you gonna do?
I was gonna
Esky?
say- I would like to roll for investigation to find the fridge, and I would
But-
like to use my birthday nat 20, please.
Oh my god, that's what you're using it at 24.
On the on the
Legend.
floor above, you've gone into what once perhaps would have been Marn's therapy room. Along the corridor, you ignore the stairs upstairs. The kitchen's not upstairs. Don't be stupid. And you take a couple of steps off to the side, go through a room, and there's like a bit of a draft to it. This might once perhaps have been the pantry, not here. And you frantically search, kind of moving rocks around, throwing the debris, or clearing quite a lot of path, ignoring items that fall or whatever, until eventually, remembering Barnes' vague description of this thing, there is a rectangular, slightly odd thing that's invested in the ground, and using your strength, you rent it, and you open the door, and there's like a creaking of metal ever so slowly, and a slight little bit of blue artificial light kind of streams out ever so slightly. There's nothing inside, but based on what Barnes said, based on the amount of stuff you've thrown everywhere, based on kind of the cracked tiles in here, maybe this is the fridge.
He closes the door. How big is this? Is this like the size of a microwave? Or how
No,
big
it's actually quite. Yeah, it's sorry. It's like slightly bigger than a microwave. Obviously, it doesn't. If it's what it says it is, it doesn't need a whole food. So, yeah, slightly
Yeah.
bigger than a microwave.
So he kind of like closes it, puts it down, and then kind of closes his eyes, and he just imagines an entire just like roast chicken, like, beautifully made, and then he like, well, thank you, really opens the door.
Yeah, so there's a flash of blue light from the back, and as you kind of go around to investigate it, you see that there are like small little bits of gems that are attached to the back of this through some mechanism, and you see kind of a bit of light from them kind of flash and it seems to be probably there's about 10 gems there, small ones, and about 7 of them are full, and like you see half of one kind of disappear up into it, and then just your nostrils, you kind of smell chicken, and you rip open the front door, and there is the most beautifully roasted, sufficiently flavored roast chicken that as you mid-open it just comes out your nostrils immediately, and even those of you down, you smell food from above you.
DM, what kind of moisture levels are we talking here?
Perfectly cooked.
Perfectly cooked, moist chicken.
Nice moist dye.
Wonderfully
yeah.
seasoned.
I mean, Zug immediately starts to eat the chicken.
You
He-
can
he,
hear-
he carries the fridge under one arm on it, like his left arm, and then kind of walks back to the party, with the chicken in his right arm, just holding the whole thing with one hand, just eating it.
Like you hear Zog coming with like a little like flick in his step, a little happy hum, and the occasional crunch of like bone and chicken as Zog just tears into whatever this is, and you see him climbing back down, holding this square rock metal hybrid thing on one hand.
Looking, can I just say I would have only had nice kitchen implements.
But after some time, it might not look so nice. But yes, underneath the design, because Zog kind of grabbed everything that came with this thing, not just the thing, and then chicken on the other arm, and he kind of like chomping down on it.
Guys, I found it!
I don't believe it. Would have thought the bats would have taken it, really.
The fridge. It's
God,
amazing.
I wish I could eat.
Oh, you can have some chicken. There's
What
a
if
whole
I
chicken.
can eat? Huh. I'm gonna gingerly try some of the chicken. Like, take a tiny little bit off.
Can revenants taste? You just can't. You
I
just
don't
need
know.
to
We
eat,
just
right?
don't need to eat.
Yeah, I think you can taste it. It just doesn't seem to fulfill the ever-present hunger, which you've now actually focused more on a desire to that pulsing signal in your head, which is hundreds of miles away.
Oh, well, that's actually pretty tasty. And he's gonna do that thing, that really annoying thing where people pick the skin off the chicken. He's just gonna like take it and just like munch on it and be like, wow. Oh, I missed this thing.
It's amazing.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Oh,
Where on earth did you get that?
it was upstairs. I'm really excited eating this chicken. I just imagined a chicken, and it was here. It was in the box.
Ascor turns to Lanharath as some kind of like esoteric authority and just goes, well.
The mysteries of the Age of Arcanum are far beyond my knowledge, but it's interesting such a relic has survived for so long. It must be extremely powerful.
It's pretty normal, to be honest.
Can I keep
special.
it?
Sure, it's just a fridge.
Oh, thank you so much. You're the best.
Thanks.
Hold on. How does this Barnes? How does this thing work?
Well, I think it's a little bit like the elevator. That is what it was, a lift. In the other place, the blue crystals, it's sort of like a, I don't know how to describe it, like a power source sort of thing. And I think at some point while we were underneath the Arbor Exemplar, wasn't there a junkyard and he found a hairdryer looking what's it?
Yeah.
He's gonna pull that out and point to it and be like this, right? If I could power it, we could just dry and fluff our hair at will. I mean, we can do it magically, but this would just style it for us and would always look pretty tip-top. No wax required or anything. Loads of little implements like
So
this.
what you're saying is this powered by an infinite or a finite resource? I don't understand.
Magic, it's infinite in the way that our magic is infinite. We just found a way to harness it and crystallize it and utilize it so that we could draw on it for regular everyday objects so that nobody wanted for anything. I didn't invent it,
This
though.
is
That's the Archmage's.
technology.
Right,
I-
that's an
This
Archmage
is
thing.
something. This could replace magic.
It is magic, but also it's not a
Yeah.
controversial thing to say that, for better or worse, even magic is not infinite, and the Age of Arcanum ended, as did many of its wonders.
Right, no thanks to Vespa.
What I'm trying to say is, magic is problematic. It pops up in me, it's causing me trouble. The mages, they have their own interests. But if we could somehow democratize this by producing it as a product.
Right,
But-
put magic in the home of everybody and reinstate the legendary Age of Arcanum. Let's do it, business partner.
Yes, nothing bad ever happened because of that before.
Nothing at all. Let's do it, Ascor. You and me.
Well, I think it's pretty
Agree.
But I
Agree.
should remind you, Ascor, that it is possible for anyone to learn magic. It's not.
Look, arcane talents, they're complicated. I understand more now because of my affliction. But, it's not It's not a free market, if you know what I mean.
Well, maybe once we've rid the world of Vespin Chloras for a second time, destroyed the Wand of Orcus, we could return here, do a little bit of research, find some of my old things, maybe take them to a smart person. We can try figure something out and democratize it or whatever. Because, to be honest, I don't want to live in a world where there aren't forages, so let's try bring it back.
Don't
Why
need
do
to
I
lie.
get why do I get the sense, Ascor, that your intention is to capitalize rather than democratize? I don't know why I'm getting that feeling, but I don't know.
I personally don't see the difference. It should be my democratic freedom to capitalize.
As you wish.
As should the opportunity be for anybody. Competition's healthy.
Right, I feel like we're procrastinating the Vespin Chloras issue.
Indeed.
What are we gonna
Jamie's
do?
is the wand still in the little bundle?
Yep.
After keeping an eye on it all night.
Yep.
Cool.
Hayden
Oh,
looks
little
pretty
bundle of
tired and
death.
gaunt. Yeah, Hayden looks pretty tired and gaunt after a night of watching the wand.
Hey, buddy, do you want some chicken? Might wake you up. I
I
can make another one.
I'm good.
There's 7.5 gems left in the fridge.
He hasn't noticed that.
Yeah, that's fine.
I guess where are we gonna do this? Barnes, you said your basement?
I was still in the basement, right?
Oh, we're in the basement.
Yeah.
I knew that.
Why not here?
All this
Okay.
time, you haven't learnt. You mess with things you don't understand, Hayden.
Can I do a general intelligence check, a big boy brain check?
Go for it.
For like how to go about this and thinking if my big brain can see any problems with what we're about to do.
Go for it. But yeah, the one says that to Hayden.
Oh
Yeah.
no, that's an 11. There is no problem with this whatsoever.
I
This
mean,
is
like,
fine.
problems are, you've been told it brings Vespin back. Does it? Okay. Also, like, all you know is you need to rejoin these things. Given the effort it's gone to, you don't know if there's like some specific ritual. You haven't read about it. Like, how to destroy the wand is probably a fairly closely guarded secret that you only learned from the wand itself.
It seems fine. Let's go.
Listen,
Yeah.
guys. Oh, if you're gonna do a thing.
No, I was just gonna confirm that Hayden's response to the wand sassing him was just sighing and pinching the bridge of his nose, but we can carry on.
You know, if this does all go terribly wrong and we do, in fact, resurrect Bringer of the Calamity Vespin Chloros, at least you can ask him to his face what his fucking problem is.
I can't wait. I'm actually so excited. The second the wand said that, everything just felt a lot better.
Well, I hope you keep that energy.
Right.
Shall we?
Well, before that, I do want to say something. Listen, guys. And he's going to look around for a little rock. Something to elevate his height. He's going to stand atop it, fold his arms, and say, listen, great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what we have here tonight, everyone. Tonight, we stay here. And tonight, or actually it's the morning, so let's rethink that one. Today, we, no matter what happens, are the greatest team in the world. And we were meant to be here today together. This is our time. This is our fight. That is what a team is, everybody. It's togetherness. And we will weather this storm at each other's backs, hand in hand, side by side. This is our time. Now let's go out there and take it. As I use my motivational speech featuring give you all some temporary HP.
Yes, it does override the cooking pan. I think it's more anyway.
It's fine.
Is that
I
11?
only rolled 2.
18 temporary
18.
HP for the
18.
boys.
Juicy.
Zug just
Ooh.
starts clapping with a bunch of like chicken in his mouth.
Whoa.
That was a great speech.
Thank you.
So, how do you go about?
Enthusiastically.
How do you go about doing this? What are you guys up to? What's the first try?
Rowan's gonna suggest maybe starting to take the bones out one by one and like lay them in a skeleton shape on the floor.
Yeah. Sure. Whose bag did we put the skeleton in? It wasn't Hayden's.
Well, I guess
Roman's?
I had them,
Barnes's?
so yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh wait, no, Barnes threw them across the room and stepped on some, so I think Roman probably picked them up afterwards.
Yeah, I do have a pack of Holden, so
Whoever has them, you lay them out in a roughly skeleton shape. Some of them looked a bit charred, some of them old, obviously, like slightly crumbly. You do your best, and the skeleton lays in front of you, Hayden, with the skull missing. And is Hayden going to be the one to put it on?
Yeah. Yeah.
As you walk towards it, could you make a charisma saving throw for me?
Is Lanhrath nearby?
Yes.
Cool. Charisma
Plus
saving
4.
throw. Plus 4.
yeah, fortune's favor as well, just in case.
Let's roll that again. Okay, 18.
18. As you walk towards it, the wand starts muttering in your mind. Everything from talking, about if you do this, you'll damn the damned soul as well. What are you doing, you foolish child? Every single decision you've made without Kali's influence has been negligible, stupid, idiotic, and you brush them aside. And then it just starts to insult you. Just, you pathetic half-elf mongrel. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Release Vespin on the world for all I care. And again, pushing it to the side. No once. And you kind of feel, as you kind of place the skull down, facing wards on the body, it's slightly wrong, and you twist it. And even though the spine is lying alongside Vespin's original spine, the skull is facing correct the same way. And there is a sigh from the skull, along, and you almost are forced to replicate that as well, as you realize this, like, only to you. Everyone else in the room, you just kind of see as Hayden's shoulders slump back ever so slightly, like it's as if a weight has literally been lifted off you. You breathe deeply, and for the first time in a long time, you're something that was always there, but you could never quite put on the back of your head is missing, as the skull screams, green vapor exploding out of the mouth, like eyes go completely white, pushing to the side. And could I have a dex saving throw from everybody in the room?
Oh, no. Are we all near Lanhrath?
I'll say for the yes, absolutely.
25.
13.
30.
30. Wow.
20.
It's a
26.
natural Uno.
Natural one.
Perfect.
Those of you who fail take 37 points of
What's the
necrotic
DC?
damage. 18.
Cool.
37 points of necrotic damage. As the spine alongside this, you see like each rib each kind of ridge pops up and just seems to like shatter as shards of necrotic energy fly out. And when you kind of look back after dodging it or taking it to the face and kind of bleary eyed, the spine is completely gone, and it's just a skull with these eyes completely ablaze, this various kind of green energy flying out, that if those of you with high enough perception or staring at it see each kind of green light escaping from it has like eyes and a mouth kind of squinted into the mist, as each soul this thing has taken is escaping one by one from its mouth. And as you all kind of shield your eyes, you feel your energy being drained towards it as you're forced to kind of dodge out the way of this pulsing necrotic wave. All the bones kind of hover for a second, and you see them kind of begin to stitch and connect, kind of cracking into place. Each single joint, kind of each one loudly filling this whole space with sound. And the green light of the final kind of breath, as each one kind of the scream and the rattling grows louder and louder and louder until the eyes go green as well, join with the mouth, and that final soul that pulses out, you see the entire body get covered in this green energy. that kind of coalesces into pale, sallow, almost translucent skin. Black hair kind of appears alongside the skull. Fingernails that seem like are kind of jagged and dirty. Toenails again that are the same. Hair's very continues to grow almost down to kind of the shoulders. And as the body kind of shimmers and shudders for a second, it falls to the ground, naked, pale, sallow, sunken cheeks in, eyes kind of completely shut, completely naked, by Zug's request, with a manhood flopping to the side. relatively small. Relatively small was your request.
Naked and afraid.
What he did was small dick energy, man. Like, come on.
Afraid.
And he's just the body of what some of you may recognize from books, or Barnes is acutely, keenly aware of. The naked body of Vespine Chloras lies on the ground in front of you.
Holy shit, he's just there.
You just hear a yell of anger. And as you turn towards Zug, you see that the chicken that he was holding has just melted into black necrotic ooze. as the wave of necrotic energy just absolutely annihilated the carcass of this chicken.
The chicken could
He
not
stands
withstand.
up, pulls his axe out, and goes,
Hans is gonna run over to Vespin, and he is gonna push him flat on his back and just shove his hands around his neck and be like, "God damn it, Vespin Chloras! You're not napping right now, are you?"
yeah, fuck you, Vespine Chloras!
He'll just squeeze and see if we get any response. Thank you, hype man.
While Bonds is just going to town on Vespin Chloras, and we'll just dodged out of the way, which was Roman's just gonna put his hand on Hayden's shoulder and just sort of indicate to just say let's just wait and watch and see how this goes down first before we do anything.
As you kind of put your hands there, you can feel it's cold, but the warmth is returning. You can almost make out the individual veins as the blood returns to various parts of Vespin's body as the heart begins to pump. Interestingly, your sense of direction, your ever-present revenant sense, doesn't feel. It's not Vespin. Vespin's not your target. And as the eyes kind of shake open, you see green, almost snake-like irises, very thin, expand ever so slightly and retract at too much light, even in this dark cavern, eyes that haven't opened in thousands of years. And there's a rattling breath, almost as taking the first as slowly, even though you're throttling him, as throttling him, life and sense begins to return to Vespin, and the eyes are unseeing, kind of glazed over at this point, but you don't know how much longer it will be before he kind of gains lucidity.
That's not fair. You don't get to come back with a heartbeat and breath, do you? Well, I don't. Are you kidding me? Say something. And he's rattling him, just being and he's gonna let go of the throat and see if he's just not responding because of that.
The fingers kind of, you see them all, the sinews in them twitch almost unnaturally, almost as as if realizing they exist, and the fingers kind of scratch along the ground, the feet go up, and the body convolutes ever so slightly, twisting from side to side as Barnes releases the grip, and this newly created body kind of twists and moves and slightly unnaturally, and then kind of sits almost bolt upright right next to Barnes and looks around as the eyes begin to unglaze over and just look and stare and just take in the surroundings in the complete pitch black almost of this underground cave. And there's just a heavy breathing, and the chest kind of going up and down, and obviously staring kind of takes it in one by one, and then eyes just transfix on Barnes after taking in each of you, and probably doesn't even get through all of you, probably just gets to Barnes and just eyes laser in, focused, confused, and starts backing away, saying, hands begin to almost scrape on the ground and try to move backwards faster, saying no.
Where are you going, you degenerate bastard? I have some questions for you, and you're going nowhere until they're answered. And I'll
Why?
kind of
Yeah, you owe me
follow
chicken.
him.
Why? No, no, why? No, no. Why? Where am I? What is... Who are you? They're not your eyes. They're not your eyes. They're not your eyes. They're not your eyes.
What the fuck is up with you?
Who are you? What happened?
That's the question I have for you. Why did you kill me?
Kind of like breathing heavily and just staring up at you, like eyes frantically moving from side to side, like as again, hands kind of scratching. He hits a wall as he kind of goes backwards, like begins to stab, and almost seems to like pull himself up by the wall, unsure
I
of
want to
what to
cast
say or do.
Dominate Person on him.
Yeah, go for it. Okay, let me
I've
get
had
up
enough
stat
of these
block.
shenanigans, Vespin Chloras. I mean, it's a wisdom saving throw, but also it's a charm. I don't know if can he be charmed? I don't know.
That's okay. We'll find out. What's your DC?
19.
Oh, I'm not. Don't roll 10d6s. That's not a saving throw.
Why would you need to do that, Jamie?
That was for the damage spell earlier.
Okay.
Let me. Why is my PC not playing ball?
I like this music.
Yeah, me too.
For
No,
those who have
don't
just
take me to-
arrived, we've just
don't-
resurrected a Lich who caused the calamity 900 years ago. So we're a bunch of well-meaning guys who have just done a very evil thing.
Yeah,
Hey,
last week we almost destroyed the Divine Gate. This week we resurrect the Inciter of the Calamity.
He rolls 12.
He
So
rolls
what
12?
what do you command?
Done a big mistake.
Alright, with Dominate Person cast on Vespin Chloras, the command is calm the fuck down. And answer my questions, Vespin Chloras.
Like the breathing resides, the eyes stop panicking, going from side to side, the head kind of holds still. He just breathing focused on like one point, almost looking into the middle distance, not focusing on any of you.
While the target is charmed, I have a telepathic link with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn to the party and say, right, I'm going to try calm him down. It'll need some work. And I'm going to turn to him and ask him telepathically, so, Vespin, I don't remember why. I don't remember anything about it. But I do know that you murdered me, and 1,000 years later, I woke up in this shitty post-calamity world that apparently you created. Veneria memory, and apparently not even my own eyes in my sockets. So what did you do to me, and why did you do it?
Let me just pull up my various notes.
Ooh, I'm nervous, guys.
Actually, sorry, I've got it's 18. You actually rolled 18 when you added this little charisma saving throw, but that's fine. That's still a fail.
I'm nervous.
Sorry, repeat your question.
What did he do to me, and why did he do it?
You see, like, as you're looking at like telepathic link, you see it's almost like looking at glass. Like you've interacted with people's minds before, but in the same way you have like blank spots you imagine in your mind, there is just shattered thoughts, collective memories, something. And as you ask that request, you almost see somebody like the consciousness like rifling through, attempting to answer the request of the person who's asking. But could Barnes make an insight check?
Insight check, Jesus. 15.
15. This person's just been brought back to life. You don't know what's happened to them in the Wand for a while. They might take some time to get used to being themselves again.
Right.
The other one, he was right. You deserved it. Why did you desert? Why did I do? Why? Um, it was you. It was us. Is this telepathically or out loud? As in, like, how are you
Well,
talking?
I have a telepathic link to the creature. I addressed him telepathically.
Okay. I'll say
And
this
actually, if he starts mumbling out loud, Bond's be like, nope. Don't want to be rambling now. Keep it in here. If he starts making babbly noises out loud.
Yeah, he does a little bit. He's like, you just have said, I did it. Why don't you have your eyes? His eyes. His eyes.
His. Who is his?
It's gonna take a while, isn't it?
Bonds is going to turn to the party and say, he's not in a good state. It's going to take a while, I think.
Seems he's had a rougher ride of the last couple of 100 years than you have, being trapped inside that wand with the hundreds of thousands of other lost souls and such.
Right, whose death he sort of single-handedly brought about when he caused the calamity, right? I can't say I feel too bad for him, but yeah, it's
No,
not
not
going
really.
to-
I was just making an observation more than anything.
No, it's a fair one. All right. Bespin, you're going to sit quietly on that rock. We're going to find you some clothes so I don't have to look at your sad, pasty little ass. And we're going to have a talk about what to do with you. Whenever you remember anything about me, you're going to tell me. If you can think of anything helpful for us, you're going to tell us. And you're not going to raise a hand against us.
My fault.
Yeah, it is.
Looks around the rest of you and just kind of stops. Like retreats in a little bit. You feel like the mind coming in, like facing up to it, is picking up these pieces. He keeps almost retreating in on himself more and more. And obviously, you're like dominating and commanding him to kind of give these answers, and each time he searches through it, it's causing not physical pain, but certainly, mental anguish. I'm not going to hurt anyone. Not again.
That's encouraging to hear. And as the charm, it's not a long spell. As he feels the charm is coming to an end, Bond's going to pause and be like, "Oh, one more thing, actually." And he's going to punch him in the face.
Yeah, smacking him across the jaw. You can roll a D4 of damage.
D4 damage.
While
D4
you were
plus
talking,
strength.
While you were talking,
My strength is minus
all
2.
of you. Nice.
That's 1
All-
point of damage.
All of you are overwhelmed by the smell of like the most delicious pork you've ever smelled in your life.
Are you back in the fridge?
As you
Raiding
hear
the
a
fridge.
crunch, and Zug is now eating succulently roasted pork.
Envy that man.
He's got his priorities straight.
Is now really the time for that, Zug?
Huh? Well, I mean, I figured this might take a while, so.
Actually,
Yeah.
Zug, we should probably feed him. Or something.
Oh,
I don't know. We need to rebuild what's going on in here so I can... I don't believe it. Reclamation project.
As your mind begins to detract and your dominance over Vespin ever so slightly begins to ebb, you look around, and among the shattered glass of Espin's soul, you see 18 eyes, 9 pairs on the outskirts of his consciousness, all looking in at you as as your mind begins to retreat. They each seem to get ever so slightly closer.
Oh, what the I see this inside Vespin's mind?
Yeah.
Oh. Barnes is probably going to take a step back. And you guys probably haven't seen him very rattled other than when you guys were, saying shit to him. But this is probably the first time an external thing to you has made him look so distressed. Takes a step back and is like, Yes, it's going to be a bit of work. And I think that whole... No, never mind. Just, it's going to take some time, I think.
Can you ask him if the wand has been destroyed now? Just to double check.
Well, he's lucid, but if he's not listening to you, then, I mean, ask him yourself.
That's been like the whole time anyone's not directly approaching him, he's just kind of muttering to himself in the corner.
Romeo walk up to him. Excuse me, sir.
Kind of retreats from you. You're one of hers. Keep away, please.
Hers? You'll have to be more specific, man.
I can feel them up my skin. You.
You're out of that wand now. Do you remember being in there?
I remember where it was, the dark. Yes.
Well, you're free now.
It's like the first thing that's probably slightly calmed him, or like seemed to like nod slightly. You see him kind of almost continuously kind of touching himself, twitching, like checking he's real or there's something there.
And you know this man, and he edges his head towards Barnes.
Yeah. Yes.
And you killed him.
The eyes are wrong. There's something wrong. What happened?
Why do I hate you so much? Did you marry my sister and cheat on her? I don't understand. Do I have a sister?
Kind of like twists his head from side to side, like was trying not. He's like someone who's trying to put it together, but also not remember. And we were. Did we work? You. I talked to you.
I was your therapist, yeah, but beyond that, I don't tend to hate my patients beyond general disdain. Were we rivals in love? Were we after the same woman? I mean, if you killed me, fine. I don't, whatever. I just...
He's no, I didn't love those eyes. I hated those. I hated those eyes. What's wrong? What's gone wrong?
I don't know. I assumed you'd killed me and taken my eyes out, because these clearly aren't mine, and he indicates to the scars around them. But if you didn't do it, then who did? And why would somebody go after my eyes? They're just, eh. And I don't like that you're generating more questions than answers, Vaspin, so more useful, please.
I loved your first. I hated your second. I don't know your third.
You want my first now?
I think I love them. I think so. I don't know.
Bonza's gonna take a step back. Whatever he just said, strike it from the record. He didn't say it. Ignore it, everybody. He's gonna turn to the fridge, and he's gonna materialize a bottle of something. Sick Age of Arcanum Arcanic whiskey, and just take that and be like, I think we're going to need this. He's useless, guys. He's completely useless.
I'm not sure what we expected exactly after, pulling a little skull out of a bag and attaching it to a decrepit skeleton.
But first things first, that necrotic wave, that was the Wand of Orcus being destroyed, wasn't it? We're done with that, so we have time now to sit and to process and to... Do you feel better? And he turns to Hayden. Do you feel good?
I feel... It's weird. I never really spoke about it before, but, well, the reason it was so important for me to destroy that wand was before I met you guys, I traveled with another group of people, and 2 of them were druids that were tasked with keeping the Wand of Orcus away from him. 'Cause they had seen firsthand the devastation that Orcus was able to do to this town. Anyway, I got separated from that group, and when I left them, they had the wand. And then a week later, when I was with you guys, we met Orcus again, and he had it. And I think the only way that's possible is he killed them, my friends. So,
Right.
um,
I'm sorry
Well,
to hear that.
it's
Hayden, if there is one thing that you can take solace in, is that your friends, if they had met Orcus, will be going on to a better place now.
yeah. I feel like I've finally been able to put them to rest, you know?
Same to your friend, Nadan, was it? I imagine his was one of the souls released from that one's destruction, so...
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Rasha's probably gonna resurrect him now.
Oh. Yeah, I suppose he will
Maybe.
do that, won't he?
If it's still
Does he know
possible.
to do that? He did say to let him know, actually.
Hmm.
I don't know how to speak to him.
Actually, speaking of which, and Jamie, is there like any like rubble or like rocks kind of like around the room? Because
Pretty much perpetually, yeah. Like,
Okay, I thought so. Because
as you guys have been moving around, you've knocked stuff off the ground. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So yeah, Hayden's gonna kind of like go around the room, and he's gonna kind of busy himself with kind of collecting a small pile of rocks, and when he's done, he's going to stack up these little tiny towers of like kind of like a wide flat rubble rock, and then another one above it, another one, and he's gonna do and he kind of mutters this to himself as he's doing it. He's like, okay, this one's for Omar Ballas, this one's for red, this one's for blue, this one's for Eva, and this one's for Nadan.
I'm gonna give them rocks.
No, you idiot! And he kind of like
Zach, come on now.
and he like kind of bows his head as he kind of pays his respects for his lost friends.
I am sorry.
Does
Very
anybody
sorry.
have any spare clothes that would fit a recently resurrected Lich?
Can I
It's just his
Can I offer
nakedness
you-
is sort of uncomfortable.
offer you some food in this trying time?
He kind of
The
like
salted pork
looks
is particularly
ravenously at the pork, and if you thought Zug ate food quickly, Vespin's just kind of pouring it into his mouth, kind of barely chewing. He kind of like stops there, starts hiccuping halfway through.
By the
man
gods,
who
you're a
has not
proper
yet-
degenerate, aren't you, Vespin? Stop
Oh.
that.
See, it's a good idea I made the food. All of you were having a go at me about it.
Right, but do I have to give him my cape or what?
By the gods. Being resurrected, and the first thing you have to eat is pork belly.
Bad deal, is it?
Thousands of years.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit jealous.
I know.
If I ever die,
If
I ever die,
I
You
ate
know what to do.
dirt was the first thing when I was resurrected because I climbed out of my own grave. Did you hear that, Vespin? I had to do that because of you. He's gonna give him a little smack.
It's kind of, just the way he like looks at you again for the second, and one of the first times his eyes kind of focus and screaming.
Right.
Every time I hear you, I look at you, I see scream, I hear screaming, I see screams, like
Oh, my
red
screaming.
eyes, red eyes.
You hear my screams because you killed me, thank you. Do you want to just... And he unclips one of the many layers of cape and fabric that he has at his back in his quite kind of flourishy looking colourful outfit, and kind of unceremoniously dumps it over Vespin in the way that you can't really be bothered to tuck someone in, you just throw a blanket over them. It's kind of like
Yeah.
that, and he's just like, there. I really couldn't look at your spine jutting out anymore. It's sort of, uncomfortable.
Yeah, you take absolutely. Vesper kind of holds it around himself, and as he does, you see him kind of shivering, unsure, looking around fairly. However, as you're looking, you see him kind of you see him as he's kind of like looking around, he kind of shivers, and as he's shivering, his hand kind of comes out and flame appears in his hand, and he seems to start to use it to warm himself.
Okay, so
That's a
that's
neat-
been... Maybe
That's
we'll
a neat
keep
trick.
the magic on the down low because you're sort of an evil archmage. So the fact that you're using magic is quite threatening at this moment. Do you agree, guys? Should we
Yeah,
just
it's a
let him do
little
it?
less of that, please.
Yeah.
Okay, he seems quite
Oh, he does
compliant at the moment. He looks at it, he fluffs it out, and then just begins to kind of shiver, and also like eye the pork still a little bit.
Right.
Um,
Good, Vespin. Guys, this is weird. This is... And he's gonna, like, hustle the group over and be like, I sort of feel a bit bad for him, and that's really unexpected. I was sort of ready to beat him to shit and maybe emotionally abuse him a little bit and use all the things I had in his therapy notes against him, but actually, his eyes sort of slide over to the shivering, sad man who can't put a sentence together. To be honest, sort of, it wouldn't be very satisfying.
Yes, I have to admit, as someone who has come through the other side of a recent and deep trauma myself, I, how should I say, feel sorry for him a little bit.
I just
Go
want
pipes up.
established-
Now I disagree. I disagree.
Of course you do, yeah.
I can hear me out.
Mhm.
Points to Bonds. Last night's display. Expect nothing but cold, calculated ruthlessness. You almost tore us to the brink. You stick to whatever plan you did or didn't have. None of this compassion now. All right?
I have a lot of compassion. Ascor, I'm a therapist. My job is based on making people feel better about themselves and helping them heal from their wounds. And I mean, look at him. He's just spent 1,000 years in a wand, trapped with tortured, screaming souls. Maybe
Stop
that's
it.
actually the perfect project.
Stop it.
I sort
Maybe
of-
that is indicative of some sort of character growth, perhaps?
Right. Maybe I actually just want to nurture my own murderer, rather than... I can't explain it. It's a strange sensation.
Perhaps you will both find answers through your mutual growth together.
Right, that's the other thing. I plan to do it entirely calculating in such a way that I just get my answers and then I can just off him, right? I mean, I feel bad for him now, but by the time he's restored to his full assholery, which I'm sure he has, then I will not feel bad when I push him
Point.
off a cliff.
You've noticed Ascor is taking off a glove, and he slaps you with it. With the back of his glove across your face and says, "Get a hold of yourself, man.
I am holding
Fire.
myself
Stick to the
exceptionally well.
plan."
Do you know what? There was no plan at all, and now my plan is to use that sad sack of a man to get my answers, however long it takes. So, until that day comes and I know exactly why I was murdered by that asshole, I, Barnes Costello, solemnly swear to do my Hippocratic oath and my utmost best to fix that guy's brain, such that he is once again a whole and complete person and able to do my bidding as I want it.
But
Great.
can we just clarify, not as whole and complete as before he instigated the calamity? Yes.
No, obviously, we'll not be abetting in any more calamities. I mean, we sort of have already caused our own to some extent, but
Well,
he doesn't need to know that. It might incite something in him, you know.
well, yes.
Hey, Bespin,
Kind of like looks up, eyes wide.
how'd you feel about the calamity? Do you feel bad you did it? Do you want to do another one?
He mutters. The voices, they said it was all my fault.
It was.
All of it.
Yep.
I deserved it. Deserved everything.
But you
Okay.
know, Mr. Chloris, there is always room for growth and redemption.
I don't deserve those things.
Well, do you think
That's
your
what it said.
worthless self
That's what it
gets to decide that? Do you think you get to decide anything anymore?
No.
Well then,
You have a really
You-
interesting technique when it comes to, well, talking to people, Roman.
You're actually pretty good, Roman.
perhaps I could have been a therapist too.
Are you making fun of my accent?
No, I thought that's what you said. You're a therapist.
Yeah, but that's a therapist, yeah, but
That's what I said, isn't it? Therapist.
Pons is just gonna... Okay, do you know what?
They must not have therapists.
You don't have one
explains
now,
a
and
lot.
that makes a lot of
Common,
sense.
Common is not my first language.
Right, but it also makes a lot of sense that you wouldn't know what one of those is. So let's move on from that point. Listen, Vaspin. True redemption is when guilt leads to good, alright? We're going to use all of that guilt you have, which is an awful lot, and we're going to turn it into something productive. Slowly, it's going to be great. We're going to work together, we're going to hang out. We'll have some pork, or... Was it banana trifle? That was your favourite food, wasn't it? I thought I saw that in some of our session notes. I think. Whatever it is, we're going to have it. You're going to feel great, and... yeah. What about the rest of you?
Jamie,
Destroyed.
what kind of vibe are we getting off of this interaction?
Make an insight check.
16?
So the vibes you're getting, right, is that he was pretty hell-bent on throttling this guy the second he saw his body, and he gave it a good go of it. He sat him down, and there's been kind of some level of, like, quite earnest disgust, which has slowly morphed into the way that you look at maybe a slightly sad animal, like a mangy creature on the side of the road that might give you rabies, but actually you do feel a bit bad for you because it's an animal and you kind of want to fix animals, you want to help him. And it's sort of, he's gone through the 7 stages of rage, grief, whatever it is, and is kind of netting out on a confused, self-bewildered sort of like... It feels pretty genuine.
Okay. Don't know what to do with that information, to be perfectly frank.
Fair enough.
And as Barnes has been kind of like gesticulating at Vespin and talking about trifles, he's going to go fetch one from the legendary artifact, the Forage. And,
All right, there's about 6. There are about 6 gems left in the fridge now.
right,
I was
weapon
ripping it
usage
up.
to feed our newly created Lich.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm gonna plop it on his lap and
Bucky can as best can. As he kind of he kind of looks into it and looks up at you and kind of just starts like handing it, like taking the entire chunk,
please
shoving
take
it in.
No, I don't want to feed you like this. Just put it on your lap, jeez.
Just like starts shoveling it into his
Oh
mouth.
God, that's disgusting. Really, Vespa. Oh, we're going to need to train you with some manners. Gods be damned. All right. And he's gonna put himself next to Vespin and just kind of watch him warily, look up the group and be like, well, I have my therapy project, but what about it for you guys? What are you doing?
I don't know. I really haven't been planning very much for a while. Kind of go with the flow kind of thing. And he looks around. What are we doing?
Look, this man is... And he points to Vespin for us. This thing is... It's not happening. And I say we run him through and do the world a favor.
Well, the Divine Gate does need a body. Can go back there and put Vespin back where he belongs.
I should let you know it probably relies on him voluntarily staying there to power it, unless you intend to remove his ability to move. Probably won't go down so well. Also, possibly being trapped in the roots of a magical tree with my brother is a fate worse than being assigned to the wand for an attempt.
Your brother, the
What
guy
better
that nearly
fate
killed us
for-
yesterday.
What better fate for someone who caused the calamity?
I sort of think your brother would use him, right?
Slightly more
Yes.
lucid at this point. Vespin. I did what?
Oh,
You
the calamity.
caused the calamity.
You let the betrayer gods into the world and they killed, what, like 70% of the world's population?
His head kind of goes back to jerking weirdly from side to side. Like, no. No, I didn't.
Hmm.
There. He's gonna
Shit.
pat him on the shoulder.
If you didn't, then do you want to explain your side of the situation, Mr. Chloras?
I deserved it. I must have done it. Why else would I?
You see, he said it. He deserves to die. That's what he said, right? You heard that, right?
He did say it.
What if I deserve to die and people deserve to die? The Wand of Orcus told us that we all deserve to die yesterday because we're filthy living creatures, which I object to because I'm not actually alive. So
I feel like playing devil's advocate a little also. As someone who had a hand in another semi-attempted world-breaking incident, albeit not of my own choice, and came back under suspicious circumstances, and you all chose not to murder me on the spot, for which I am grateful for, to allow me to amend, fix what I helped break. Perhaps this is this man's second chance. Perhaps this is his opportunity to make things right and change for the better.
Batman, do you want to help save the world?
He just starts like muttering. The matron's wing shields us. The matron's wing shields us.
That's
Right,
Raven
just make
Queen
sure.
bullshit. Stop it. Listen,
We actually have a champion of the Raven Queen ourselves, actually.
we do actually, don't we? Yeah,
Mm.
Lanharath, Aku, whatever we call you. Aren't you the, Raven Queen person?
I think the story you've told Barnes is slightly different than the reality. Asgore and Ghost, I believe, thought it was funny to trick devout followers of the Raven Queen into believing that Aku was their champion.
Funny? Hold on. It was lucrative. But
That's
hold
quite
on.
funny.
What I want to know is and he's speaking to Lanharath, and he goes, Lars,
Gora. Yes.
Lars, what do you think we should do with this thing of a man? This man of a thing?
Kind of like looks down and kneels down beside him. I would advise you do what none of you have seemingly even thought to do yet. Why is this your problem to solve? Beyond Barnes's personal interest, once that is over, who appointed any of you arbiters of this world's existence, solver of its problems? For once in each of your lives, beseech help, talk to your allies. Be humble in the face of something terrible.
I was going to say, I think we're self-important enough to have appointed ourselves as the guardians and arbiters of the world's safety, but you raise a good point.
Certainly
Think
there
it's-
are people far more capable than ourselves of questioning Mr. Chloris here, finding out more truths. People very skilled in such tasks.
Right, hear me out. Ghost is definitely, I don't mean this rudely, Roman, but that's sort of something that you have some responsibility over, correct? I don't want to say your fault, but you know what I'm getting at.
Mm.
Right. The thing with the tree that we're going to keep in vague terms for Mr. Chloras's benefit, and so to not stress him out, right? That is also sort of our fault, because we sort of made a rash decision in the face of danger. Both of these things we sort of might have some bearing over, but what I'm thinking is that if Ghost really is absolutely our fault, Vaspin needs a purpose. If we sort of, we meld these together, we used Vaspin to fight Ghost because he's super powerful, right? I'm sure he can, right? He can definitely do it. Vaspin versus Ghost, we can rediscover his own sense of purpose, and you look
If
very
there
doubtful, Roman.
is one person who is very talented at turning feeble-minded fools to his own whims, that would be my brother.
Right. So we need to up-mind him, less feeble.
Those of you with higher than average insight scores, over 15, that's a vague insult to Hayden, Zug, Aku, and Ascor.
Bond smirks at it.
And
But,
also, that was a self burn as well, by the way.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's also definitely a burn towards those of you who helped him assist in the ritual, particularly.
Listen, guys, I think if we take
Hey.
Vespin to the authorities, they will certainly kill him, put him in prison.
I wouldn't
Have your piece.
be so sure. You've
well-
been a little out of touch with society and what society has become in the last several hundred years.
What do you talk about? It
Wait.
sounds like a hive of scum and villainy.
Wait, what? Roman, hold on. You've been... I mean... What do you know?
Specifically?
I
Or
mean,
generally?
you've also not really been here.
While that is true, my society is one that is long-lived, and throughout multiple lifetimes, I don't feel so completely out of touch as it were with the society that no longer exists.
Sure, culture's one thing. Forgive me, I just don't think you're the perfect historian. None of us are, truly.
I agree with Lanharath. We are close to Shorehas. We are in Shorehas. We are close to Risona, and we are close to quick mines and thick walls. Place where a man like this could be kept safe. We could get answers.
Listen, from what I've heard about your last exploits in Rosona, you told one of the guys there and his response was to arrest your entire family, is that correct?
Few things have happened since then.
Listen, I'm all for asking help in the ghost matter. To be honest, it's beyond me. I'm all for asking help with whatever the tree needs, but Vespin Chloras, if there's anything you can give me, it's the opportunity to help fix him myself, because, guys, this is what I do. It's fixing people who have been broken, and I suppose I was frustrated that nobody had been really in need of my services back when I did practice my profession, but now there's one right in front of me who quite genuinely needs help and has been through things so horrendous and horrible, and his suffering is so great. I actually feel like I really do just want to help him.
And how long do you plan on staying in this dark little hole to help him, talk him through it?
I don't know, maybe going somewhere is what he needs. I just don't think we should give Vespin and Chloras, the man who caused the calamity, over to your authorities or whatever society you're living in before we've had a chance to straighten his brain out such that he can be adequately questioned to give his own answers. He can't do it right now. Don't you understand that?
If we take him back to Risona, I can offer you a safe and secure location to work your therapy on him. Your therapy.
Right, my therapy, thank you. Yeah.
Would that be suitable?
Yes, please, honestly.
However,
we're safe.
It will be guarded. We can't risk this. Can't you see? If you want to see this through, you have to compromise.
I think if you tell anyone about him, you're killing him yourself, if you know what I mean. And if you want that on your hands, then...
I don't think we need to be strictly, completely honest about who he is or where he came from.
Alright, I'm happy to go on that one. I'm happy to lie, but sure. If we say he's a dangerous person that needs watch and that he needs help, then absolutely, I'm in for it. But I do need him to be able to give me his answers. And I do, for whatever reason, want to help him. And since you guys seem to help, well, I would say help. You tried to help. You tried to do the right thing. I think destroying the Wand of Orcus was trying to do the right thing. And though that may have been conspicuously absent in the way you've spoken to me for the majority of my time here, this is your opportunity to do it. So, sure. Let's go to Rosanna. Let's turn him in. But I also think your priority should be figuring out a way to stop that guy, that ghost. Right?
You think every
he's not
waking
actually a
moment since
ghost.
I came out of that hole hasn't been spent
Oh.
trying to do that?
I'm not saying anything about the fact it isn't your priority. I just think, now that you've got things sorted, that's where your efforts can go, right? That's what you want. And also, Hayden, you've got your thing with Essex, Phalus, whatever his name is. Yeah, fix
Yeah.
it.
Time is ticking.
Right. So step one, let's get out of this hole. Let's get somewhere safe.
Can someone give that man some pants?
Please, yes, let's give him some pants.
Do you remember how to exit this place?
Well, back when it was a house, sure, but now it's a ruin in the bottom of a ravine, so I guess the only way is up. But maybe we want to do it carefully because there are other giant bats in the cavern waiting to eat us, so let's be
Wait,
cautious.
you want to
there.
eat us?
Probably.
I asked you if it was secure.
Yeah, I
There's
said it.
giant bats now, and they can kill us.
Well, safe in the basement. There aren't giant bats in here.
You need to be more forthcoming with your information.
I'm so bored of your constant accusations. Let's just be friends. Let's just do that, yeah? I'm going to help
like
you get up there. You're going to help me get my guy up there. Let's work together and let's have a great time doing it.
Pauses for a moment, and he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a copper coin, and holds it up, sort of looks to it, looks back at Barnes, glares between the two and says, heads, you're friendly. Tails, you're hiding something.
Right, let's go. Sure.
And, he flips it, but incidentally, the copper piece is actually a component of the detect thought spell.
I like that.
So
Alright.
it's I like
Nice.
cast detect thoughts.
Okay.
Upon dear Barnes,
What is it? What's the result?
So, text thoughts, surface level for Barnes.
yeah,
Decent amount of frustration at the moment, I imagine.
Yeah, frustration, exhaustion, and just constantly nervously glancing down at Vespin in a sort of like watchful, make sure he doesn't run off and, I don't know, trip over something and die kind of energy.
and now DM. Let's go deeper.
Does Barnes resist as you feel the probing on your mind?
Yeah, the second he feels something go for his brain, he like, oh, hang on, what? Vespin, is that you?
Detect thought, yeah, you can make the saving throw.
So wisdom save?
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Ooh, that's not very good. That's 11.
Plus Aku's bonus.
15. I don't think that makes Haskell save though.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. What are we looking for?
The true emotions and feelings towards Vespid Chlorath, and perhaps any inclination towards betrayal.
Ooh, good questions, Luke.
Okay, so it's Vespin Chloras. It is pretty much bang on what he stated. He can't reconcile hatred for Vespin in the way he remembers him with the thing that's sitting in front of him. So he feels like he either needs to get him back to what he feels like he hates to be able to have any kind of closure and actually feel satisfaction in like yeeting him off a cliff in vengeance, right? And there is a bit of a like Hippocratic Oath style, like, actually, this guy has some real fucking problems. It's kind of like an enjoyable project sort of thing you get from him as well. Like a little bit of a genuine, he really actually does want to fucking take this one on and try and fix him. Intention to betrayal. So is this something he'd be thinking about in this precise moment? That's what Detect Thoughts does, right?
Probably not. If
It's
whether or not he would.
I think-
large is word, something that looms large. So I guess
Yeah. So I think
the idea that eliminating does the suggestion of eliminating Vespin Chloras feel like a threat? Does he feel threatened?
Does he feel threatened by... I think if you're looking for like signs of him feeling threatened, he does feel pretty threatened. And if it's a thing about betrayal, it's not... There's no sort of like, and then I will do this and I will rule the world. But you do get this ever-present sense of, I can't fucking believe how they've spoken to me, right? Like, if there's a kind of, like, there's bitterness for sure, but it's not a, like, steepled hands, like, leaping around. It's a, like, man, these guys are gonna get what's coming to them, and it's because of what they've been, like, you know, the way they've acted.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, how does the coin land?
You don't see it, because obviously Ascor captures it, and he goes, looks for a moment, pauses. It's heads, let's go.
Ooh, great. And I guess he'll bend down and see if he can help Vespin up and be like, okay, no, we really need to get you some pants. I can't do this. Yeah, he's gonna go look for some clothes for Vespin.
Clothes,
Maybe
probably, after
curtains,
all
maybe
this time.
like rugs or just like anything that can like...
After all this time, most of this is going to have rotted away or moved. Most of what you found to find is either magical objects or metal or stone or kind of gems that would have thing. Like, most of it's been robbed or disappeared. So I'd say you're probably gone for 10, 15 minutes while you're looking for this. Probably to no avail. What
Does anyone apart from Ascor wear a cape or a cloak?
I think Barnes has given him a cloak right now that he's kind of clutched around him. But Barnes is gone. What are the rest of you doing during that time?
Surely we've got a spare pair of underpants between the 6 of us.
Probably, yeah, absolutely.
These men not have any spare trousers.
We're so crunchy.
Zarg owns exactly one pair of underpants.
Yeah. You can see, by the way, that like Vespin keeps like the rest of you. He doesn't seem too. He seems vaguely indifferent to. But once Barnes,
no, fine clothes don't come cheap.
Oh, sorry. Once.
Whoa, wait, Ascor does have fine clothes, doesn't he?
Does have fine clothes. As you're kind of doing this, once Barnes has gone, there kind of are two objects of Vespin's attention when he's slightly more lucid. One is Barnes. The other one is Roman, who he keeps like every time he looks at, he seems to shiver.
Are you going to explain yourself?
What to explain? I mean,
why do I upset you?
I feel my skin crawl. Every time I look at you, I feel them.
Speak your words, they're no good. Mumbled.
Legs. Hairy legs. All along my skin. Spiders. Spiders up and down.
Oh, I see what you're getting at. I'll try not to take too much offense at that, given things have changed a little bit. And no, I'm not one of the followers of Lolth.
I don't want you here. 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 I don't want you here.
When we take you back to the city, you're going to get a pretty nasty shock.
Could you make a wisdom saving throw for me?
Yo, Vespin, simmer down, boy.
With
kill him.
Bonus?
Yeah.
Mate,
Are we all going with him, by the way?
No, so Barnes has gone off on his own.
Natural 1. My whiz saves, my dude.
You feel compelled to
yeah.
go outside of
Guys,
this room.
I leave the room.
Aw, pretty.
As he
reasonable.
casts command level 1.
Wait, can he command me? Is
plus
that a charm?
Is it charm?
Yeah,
You speak a
advantage
one-word
on that.
command. The target must either wisdom saving throw. The spell has no effect if it's undead or does not understand a language or harmful. No, it's not a charm.
Yeah, cool. I leave. Because yeah, I have advantage against being trapped.
So Hayden, this happens, right? Like, just Roman just leaves after, or like begins to leave after being told.
Did Vespin do any sort of verbal or somatic?
No, it's just it's
composing?
entirely verbal. So he's just saying like, I don't want you here, leave. Please go. I don't want you here, go.
Right.
Fair enough. Goodbye.
So, Hayden, let me have a quick look in my bag. He's gonna take out a length of rope, and he's going to kind of cut a short length and do a couple of knots in it, so it's kind of like a little bit thicker in the middle. And he's gonna grapple Vespin and tie it around his head as a gag to stop him from being able to say spells.
Okay, yeah, there's no resistance as he's kind of like shivering, quivering in the corner. Like now the tension doesn't seem to fix anywhere, kind of jagging from side to side as you do it. There's no resistance as he puts it on his mouth and ties it round.
Cool.
What about those hands?
Yeah, good thinking, Ascor. And Hayden will also bind his hands behind his back. So he cannot cast somatically. Is that the right word? Somatic.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
How long does this last for?
Command. It's literally 1 round. So you get outside and you snap back. Like, wait, why the fuck did I leave the room?
Do I know that magic has been cast on me?
You felt absolutely compelled to leave in some way or form. So as you like angrily return, you see like Vespin being like gagged by Hayden and arms tied.
I kick Vespin Chloras in the head.
You see him kind of like roll over, kind of like blood begin trickling down ever so slightly as he's like gagged and handed. Like he
Pull
seems
him
to
up by his neck and
Yeah.
say, I will have every spider in Rossana eating at your flesh if you try that trick again on me.
like see, like he's trying to like inch away from you with every strength of his being, like pull away from you.
Drop him down.
Yeah, he kind of like shut, like as he kind of falls to the floor, his head kind of like bleeding ever so slightly, pulling away, looking pretty sorry for himself.
Maybe Ascor is right. Maybe he is too dangerous to live. For what it's worth, I don't think that there's much he can do if we get him under the Aurora Watch's protection in the city. Get him
Into the dungeons of penance.
Yeah, exactly.
In the deepest level.
That's exactly my thinking.
Yeah. And I don't care what Barnes thinks, but I think Essek needs to know who he is.
I agree. We cannot protect our city from him without them knowing the full details of what they're up against.
And it's more than just your city. It's the entirety of Exandria.
Indeed. I'm gonna turn to look at Vespin on the floor again. Is he looking back at Roman?
Kind of doing his best not to.
If he looks at Roman again, Roman's gonna kick him in the head again.
Probably after some time, and like the way you just can't look at something you find disgusting, he kind of turns back, you kick him, and he kind of rides off to the side and twists.
I wish that didn't feel so good. Has Mr. Barnes returned with some mouldy underpants?
He doesn't return with very much, but if he comes down to see you guys standing over Vespin bound and gagged, he'll be like, oh, by the gods, this is not how you treat somebody. Vespin up, straighten him, be like, okay, the gag's probably a good idea, Vespin. I think you understand why, but I'll replace it with something more comfortable than this nasty hemp, maybe. My capes can be a silk sort of thing. He's just gonna stare down at the floor and just look back at them, just not... He just seems a little, dazed, almost, and just say, Roman, it's a cavern. Can you fly us out of here? Get us higher up? I don't know how we want to avoid the bats or whatever they are in the caves, but...
I can
Before
oh,
we
ahead.
go about this the old-fashioned way, is there not any sort of magic we can use in order to get back more quickly? I remember your brother cast a teleportation circle to your family home. Is that something that you can do as well, Roman, or...?
I'm afraid that it seems lots of my skills were, in fact, lost during my time away. I
Right.
don't remember how to cast that.
That's fine.
I'm
Ascor?
sorry.
Nothing?
Wait, what are you asking me?
Do you have any magic that can... Never mind.
Like that teleportation thing that happened.
Yeah. Is that something your connection can help you out with? Maybe? Just under a bit of time pressure and got some precious
Lars,
cargo.
and Asco starts speaking to Lanhara. Lars. And then he sort of connects with Lanhara telepathically. They just sort of speak silently for a moment. This is magic you know of, correct?
Lanarath, I'm not... Haku, myself, and I are not able to teleport, if that's what you mean.
How this works. Things change to make it happen.
You bend, constrict reality around you. You necessarily don't move, but you fold existence to move you, if that makes sense.
So is
And it's easier
I guess a
if
little
you
bit of
know
a
where you're
wind.
going.
Sure. Wait. And then Ascor sort of breaks the connection for a second and turns back to the group. Where is it we're headed? Where do we need to arrive?
Well, we're quite close by, if I understand from the nature of these ruins, to Rasona. I don't know specifically any teleportation circles within there that could receive us.
No. Circles. Just need somewhere.
Outside the Dungeon of Penance. You were there.
Yeah. Just it's hazy from the magic outside. What about the place we were lying low when we got away? And that house, that barn, wherever it was.
That inn.
Sure.
I'm not sure. I couldn't say specifically who was there, though, or whether it would be safe to arrive with, all of a sudden, a large party.
Try it. I'm gonna try it.
You're going to just try.
Well, I've never done this before. It makes sense. I can't really explain it. I can kind of feel it. But I've never done this before.
You should maybe practice these things a few times before spelling away 8 people to a place that you perhaps barely remember.
Send myself.
Or send yourself somewhere you absolutely know where you're going to ensure that the magic works.
Sure, I can do that, but This is no small feat you're asking. I've just spoken to Laris, and I don't think you understand what I have to do here. I have to create a tear in this, and he just sort of gestures in the air. Take one of these. You can't see it. You can think about it if you feel it, but it's small. You have to tear it, break it like a... I don't know. It's hard to describe. But this is not... This is a lot. To think I could zip back and forth, I don't think it's possible. Right, Lars?
It's not something I've ever done. Given your lack of training, it's dangerous.
It's something that the Archmages used to do all the time, but I understand we probably wouldn't want to use Vespin's power for it since it's not trivial magic, and honestly, it's a bit unstable at the moment, but...
I'm sorry, but we are not letting Vespin
I know,
use
Hayden,
any
I just
magic.
said that I don't think we should do it, but I was just saying he probably could advise or help.
Perhaps as a first port of call, we could attempt to do this the old-fashioned way and make our way out of here, assess the situation above ground, find out where we are in proximity to the city, and from there, you can test out your new abilities.
Right. We shouldn't be far, we're underneath it. If, I teleported us to where I thought was your Rosanna. Turns out it was my Rosanna destroyed and bereft of everything I remember, but...
It
we
makes
shouldn't be
sense that
far.
we'd be close, you're right.
Right. So, yeah. I don't know, it's just sad, isn't it? Let's, be on our way. Who knows how long it'll be, and we'll have bats to deal with, am I right, everybody? Alright, Vespin, get up, I'll look after you.
Yeah,
First,
as you...
did you feel ready to go? Go on, sorry, Jamie.
No, if everybody's ready to go, we'll say that Vespin kind of standing up, shaking, wearing a tiny bit of various clothes people have given him, gagged, bound, shuffling towards the exit as you all begin to leave, making your way perhaps on foot, perhaps via magic upwards out of these ruins, which is where we'll pick it up next time. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm sorry. All right, see you later.
We'll see you guys next
Bye-bye.
week. Take care.
But terror
Bye.
evening.